Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Technically, I'm live, so let me know if you can hear me okay. People out there, hello. This is June 2024, Avenue X is live. Hello! I see familiar names coming up. Iona, it's impressive that you almost always show up on my live stream. How do you manage to do that? Usually see a couple of names that I always see. Hello from Romania. Hi from India. Hello, hello. I'm really amazed by the fact that people actually are waiting for my live stream. You know, it's like this is one of those like super unexciting channels on YouTube. I'm not a gadget reviewer. I'm not a I don't know, like biohacker. There's so many different types of YouTubers on YouTube, and when they live stream, like I understand like a lot of things happen on their live stream, but I literally just talk about Chinese dramas, you know. How can it be that exciting for people? Even when I'm doing the channel myself, I'm like, yeah, but it's just like Chinese drama review in English. You know, like if I'm in China and I'm on Chinese platforms like Bilibili or other streaming platforms, and I have more people, like it's kind of more understandable. But like it's weird, like it's Chinese drama and I'm talking about it in English, and it's like facing a platform that China cannot even officially open. Somehow you guys are still here, or you girls are still here. It's amazing. It's amazing. Hello from France. Hello from every corner of the world. London. How's the weather in London? Being a Londoner for only a couple of months in my lifetime. I've lived there for half a year, something like that. In terms of like non-stop, all the time. Uninterrupted period of time. But it's been years. It's been over 15 years anyway. So the London I remember is no longer the London today for sure. Oh really? 8 p.m. in India. Had it been a week later, wow. Well, then I'll say happy birthday a week prior to it. Actually, I have a friend coming up, you know, who's got the most friend's kid, actually. She's got the the most convenient birthday. Literally is Canada Day. She was born on Canada Day. And in China, July the 1st is also the day of the founding of the Communist Party. So she's like Communist Party / Canada Day birthday. And her father is Chinese National Day birthday. So like her whole like that whole family just celebrates birthdays on national holidays of different countries. So convenient. Very sunny and warm. Oh, cool. Pakistan, hi. So, this is June 2024. We're going to talk about dramas, Chinese Dramaland, and a couple of other things. I mean, yes, still to do with Dramaland, but maybe slightly more on the other things. First is right now in China, Shanghai is Shanghai Film Festival. Shanghai International Film Festival that goes from pretty much like a couple of days ago to early next week. It's gonna finish. And then obviously you're gonna have directors and films and exhibitions and stuff going on. And it's cool that during this particular one, they are screening movies that you usually wouldn't get to see in the particular version. Right now in China, during this festival, they had 5 screenings in 5 different theaters on 3 different days of the 1968 movie 2001 A Space Odyssey, Kubrick's film. And what's impressive is they are screening it on IMAX. How many times can you actually get to see this more than half a century old movie on IMAX in 2020s, right? Even globally, it's like rare. So they're screening this movie 5 times on 5 IMAX screen in Shanghai, and you wouldn't believe how hard to get tickets, because I happened to find it out, and I told a friend who's like a film buff in Shanghai, and he like got so pissed that he couldn't get any ticket because it literally was like sold out. As soon as it's announced at which theater on what day IMAX screening the 2001 Space Odyssey, all tickets gone instantly. Can't get hold of it at all. So even when you're physically in Shanghai, it's impossible to see it. It's like how sought after these things are. I mean, I've never seen that on IMAX. I don't think that many human beings living today have seen it on IMAX. So that would be really interesting, unfortunately, for only very selected few. It's something going on right now in Chinese filmland. That's in Shanghai. Wish I could be there. So we're gonna talk about ongoing dramas that I kind of are watching, but not really episode by episode, most of them, because right now like the dramas are in general quite boring, I feel. Let me just write down something. Okay, so we've had since last live stream May, we've had the finishing of Joy of Life for sure. Second season is finished like pretty much like on the day that my video went out. They pretty much started to do the 超前点播 thing, so you can watch it a week ahead. Now when it's finished, we can talk briefly about it, and then afterwards Tencent put out the Tale of the Rose, and then while Double is going on Youku, and then Huyao, the Fox Spirit, is kind of like nobody's watching on iQIYI, kind of wrapped up. Then Tencent Monday this week, or was it Monday? Whatever, Monday or Sunday. Monday checked out the first of the big Jinyong drama, the first section, which is 2024 versions of 射雕英雄传, literally. Right, the Condor hero. It's on air right now. Only just started about like episode 10, something like that. And those are the dramas ongoing. A couple of more will show up soon. But June has been quite boring, I'd say. I mean, if you consider the little bit wave that the Double has made, but it's not a good drama. Everybody can tell. Like even when it has a little bit traffic, it's not a good drama, you know? Like by what standard can you call it a good drama? It doesn't fit into any sort of good drama standard thing. It's just like more noisy and more people are watching. So technically first half of 24 is like gone, and really not even one drama really like impressed me in any way from Chinese Dramaland. It's a very sad situation. Sydney, what's the weather like? Is it cold already? Magnolia is happening at the end of this, so pretty much next weekend. The coming weekend, not yet. Next weekend will be Magnolia's ceremony and announcement. I think it's on the 28th, June the 28th. Follow Your Heart trailer. Yeah, if it's entertaining, I can watch it, but I don't have high hopes for particularly like say male lead and female lead's chemistry. It's not gonna work. Okay, for me, at least to have the male lead and female lead chemistry work, I have to see 体型差. Okay, body size difference basically. The guy has to be slightly bigger than the girl. Let's just say. So that like if there's ever a back hug, it can happen. So for Follow Your Heart, the problem is there's no 体型差. It's more like Song Yi can back hug Lo Yingxi, but not the other way around. So that's not gonna work for me. Okay, I'm a straight woman. That's definitely not gonna work for me, no matter how hard they try. So for that department, it's already failed. As for the plot, it depends on if the detective and the comedy plot is good. And yeah, it hasn't happened yet, but I feel like July, there's no way they're not gonna put that out, because iQIYI is starving iQIYI right now doesn't have anything that gives them traffic. They need something. Tale of Rose. I don't know. You know, Tale of Rose is weird because I watched up till the first, sort of her first romance ended, which is with Peng Guanyin's role. When that ends, and then Lin Gengxin had come in, so she went to university, college, and then runs into Lin Gengxin's character. From the moment Lin Gengxin's character officially enters her story, I haven't checked back. I haven't clicked open again. I just see what's coming. I have the sense of where the story is going, and I don't even want to watch it. First is Lin Gengxin in this drama, he just doesn't look very good, let's be honest. The second is his character is, like, even when he just showed up for a couple of scenes, I'm like, oh my god, I know exactly what's gonna happen with this part of the story, and I just think, like, for Liu Yifei, her character, it's stupid that you even ever consider marrying this guy. And I can't deal with all the trash that's gonna happen after they get married, so I just didn't continue watching. I'm waiting for basically Huo Jianhua to show up and then go back to the drama and just like jump. I'm jumping across this part and then trying not to acknowledge its existence. That's like Tale of Rose for me right now. So I haven't watched ever since Lin Gengxin sort of started going into the story. So waiting for Lin Yi and Huo Jianhua's part. Before that happens, I'm not going back. Okay, I'm not going back. I don't know. Is anywhere help? Because I don't think the drama has any problem. Like my best friend story, it's another issue. So, so Tale of Rose, my best friend story, and there's a Yangzi drama. They're all based on the book written by the author Yishu, who pretty much wrote it around 80s, 70s, 80s. So it's pretty old books that she's written, and it's like being adapted, and it has to go through a lot of adaptation because, you know, novels written back then are way outdated for current taste and stuff. But the Tale of Rose that's Liu Yifei led right now, and the one somebody just mentioned in 2020, Liu Shishi and Nini, my best friend story, those are all based on her novels. So you can see a type of similarity. You can really, really read that vibe and the type of female characters and how they get written. There's that commonality between them. Tong Daoi's story. Yeah, Tong Dao is pretty. He's funny. He never ages. If you look at the dramas he's been in the last 20 years, like 2 decades ago, he literally is just high definition, right? Cameras have done better now, and then, you know, it's in 16:9 instead of 4:3, and it's all like high definition. But the person inside, like, you know, in the footage, literally didn't age at all. Like Tong Dawei is a vampire. My best friend story one day? No, I will not. To me, it's not my thing. I don't get it at all. I think it's a very boring story. The female characters are ridiculous and the acting is terrible. Sorry about that. Not everybody, but for the two, I don't buy into the Nini and Chen Daoming thing, right? It's ridiculous to me. And then also like Nini and Liu Shishi's friendship is like, and then Liu Shishi's acting is like, her line delivery with her own voice is a torture. She has no diaphragm. I don't know why. She doesn't talk from any, like her vocal corder is like it's leaking air. She cannot even like just manage to concentrate her voice a little bit. I feel like I'm going out of air when I listen to her talk with her own voice. It's a huge problem. I just can't bear watching her acting like that. My mirroring neurons are too strong, right? I literally mirror and I feel like I'm out of breath. Did you complete? I kind of like skipped, know what happened, like know the assassination, know all those episodes, know all those memes people created, and then end how it ended. And I'm like, huh, good thing I didn't invest every minute to watch through this. There's no point. I'm very disappointed about that too. And I think the adaptation writer has gotten too out of his depth. You know, it's really easy to tell if somebody 飘了. You know, the Chinese word 飘了, who has gone floaty, who has gone to, like, their ego got hold of them and they think too highly of themselves. They have lost contact and a reasonable, realistic way of like judging themselves. I feel the writer has adaptation writer of Joy of Life basically 飘了. He's so 飘 now, like he think he is a bigger star than everything else. Then like he's literally playing God, but not in the most helpful way for the story universe. So it happens. You know, not only the people like in front of the camera develops a huge ego, you know. Please stop spamming, okay? If you just type 1, I can see it. Don't keep typing it. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to remove it. I don't know what. Will Loving Spring. What is Will Loving Spring? Anybody knows the Chinese title? I have no idea what that title refers to. Do you think old Chinese dramas, depending on how old, right? Like, are you talking about early 2000s? Are you talking about 2010s? Are you talking about 1990s? They're all very different. So, if we're talking about ongoing ones, right now, let's talk about ongoing ones. Oh, I have a lover in my hometown. That's the Chinese title. Yeah, because the Chinese title has spring in it, but English doesn't. That one I've watched parts of it. I've talked about it briefly, I think last time. I said I couldn't get into it. It doesn't work on me. It may have worked. It may have worked on some other people, but it doesn't work on me. To me, it's not a very well written story, a very unengaging way of getting into it. How they started the story already is boring. And then I don't get the chemistry between these two either. Also, I don't like the color. I hate a drama when they pick an extremely clear, sort of like overly designed color palette for no good reason. I would be more forgiving to a film, because film is a lot more, you'd say author heavy, right? And it's an author's thing and it's short, it's an hour or two. So if you pick a very specific strong color design for it, if you are fitting the genre and the atmosphere you want to bring, that's totally fine. But if you're watching like 20 hours of content and it's all just like this extremely designed strong color for no good reason, it just makes me feel, I don't know what they're trying to get at. If it actually helps, it's okay. If it doesn't help, it actually is weird looking. 春色机器人 to me, the color is a little bit too, again, warm and for no good reason. Like it's a yellowish tone that they pick for no good reason. Because it's not like it's a contemporary drama. It's not like 20 years ago. You're not trying to evoke a time sense of anything. And then in terms of romanticism, and you don't have to warm it to make it romantic, basically, I feel a lot of dramas just very default to this type of very homogenous look. And the thing with it is, it actually is not helpful if you have a very long drama that's all very yellow. You know, people get sleepy, like I do. I don't know about other people, but like I'm not a huge fan of everything gets graded to very warm tone for a long time. I just instantly like go into the sleep mode, not enough blue light, and I just fall asleep. It's my problem, okay? I'm just sensitive to these things. So to me, that drama is just so uneventful and mellow. So I'm very, very not, sort of excited about anything. Yeah, honestly speaking, June is pretty bad for me, for Dramaland, but also for every other things. I've gotten so many weird things happening in this month. It's hard to explain what is going on. And I've got a couple of girlfriends who are in the chat group who are all experiencing extremely weird things. We're all experiencing them together. So we're like blame astrology. The world is not working right now. Nothing is right. It's weird. Anyway, I've had a lot of weird experiences this month. So Dramaland is like not my first and foremost concern right now. Everything is out of whack, like biologically, biochemically for me. Weird things start to happen without me doing anything, and I don't know why. It is just weird feeling. So, let's talk about briefly drama going on. Wow, 1 a.m. Are you working tomorrow morning? Please don't ruin your circadian rhythm for like just because you want to watch my live stream. Yeah, I mean, Tale of Rose is slightly yellow too, but it's not too bad. Like there are worse ones. It's overall. Also, I think, I don't know what is going on, but I think when they did the trailer, Tale of Rose, when they did the trailer, it actually looked better than the actual release drama. Because the trailer's contrast and color is more popping and rich. But when you actually look at the drama on Tencent, it's not really as rich and exciting as the trailer. I don't know what they did with the post-production. It's very weird. I'm pretty sure the trailer looked better than the actual drama. I mean, just the color, how they graded it. Ooh. I don't get it. Maybe they, when they edit the trailer, they put extra filter on it or whatever. Like it just looks different. Well, Sasa, at least you watched through it. I couldn't even watch through. It's a lover in hometown story. I find it's just like, I don't get it. Particularly like right from the beginning, two grandmothers are trying to hook these two up for no good reason. It's not like any of them specifically told their grandmother to help me, right? And they just like went on their own, deciding that my grandson and your granddaughter are like perfect pairing. I'm like, why? Like, what makes you think that you have the right to do so? It's odd. It comes out of nowhere, you know? So, right now, ongoing, 墨语人间的 double, almost ending now, like it's into the 30, I think, almost, we'll have like 10 episodes to go. And I haven't watched episode by episode since I made the video, like I said, I skipped watching it. And I know what happens, like the stepmother's love affair gets found out, and then the maid gets stabbed and killed and whatever. That's why I can't continue watching it, because that drama just, it doesn't have logic, right? It doesn't have, we have a society that has set of rules and people have to play with it or cleverly trick it or whatever. It's just like as the character goes, as the main lead goes, whenever she needs a role to help her, the role gets born. Once it's used, it's discarded and it doesn't like don't think about its continuity because it's immediately irrelevant in the next scene. That's how the double is working. So nothing actually makes sense for the drama, and it keeps doing that. And if you're just watching for those couple of scenes and moments when things gets really hot and exciting, okay, but then don't try to situate it in a linear sort of like narrative line because it's not gonna fit anywhere and it's not gonna make sense. And so for people who are like who have to have that to watch drama, you can't continue watching it because it does not make sense. Basically, on the most basic level, like it just does not make sense. And yeah, it's also the way it's told, right? The director is very self-conscious with all his camera usage and how the things come together, and also like the acting. I don't think anyone could argue that could even say Wu Jingyan as a female lead is a good actress. Her acting is like maybe better than the worst possible, like Ju Jingyi, right, of Chinese Dramaland. Like if you're comparing that, maybe, but not the type of, basically like even if I have a school project, I'm not gonna cast her for anything. That's like that's her acting level to me is like better avoid. I'm talking about double, yeah. And then Wang Xingyue, they're very plain house. Like also Wang Xingyue as a male lead, right? I don't think it's completely on him. I think it's on the script and also the director that they're not really positioning his character correctly, or he's not really performing it correctly because he's an aristocrat and also from a military family. But in the drama, the way he plays it is like he's the head of unit. Like you think about Ming Dynasty, think about Dongchang, Xichang. If you know what I'm talking about, right? The Brotherhood of Blades, or a couple of Ming Dynasty setting wuxia films we've had in history, like Chen Kun, the actor Chen Kun has once played a really famous Changhua, the head spy agency head who is a eunuch. Like Wang Xingyue is playing his role too much like that, and he's being styled like that with his eye makeup and with his costume color. Also, he's playing it very much like a Changgong instead of a Guogong. You know, they're different. Changgong and Guogong, okay? Guogong is the duke, right? The type of highest ranking that you can get in the system when you are not a direct family member of the like related to the royal or the imperial. So you have a different surname, you are not from the same, but like the highest you can get, right, is duke level. He's an aristocrat in that sense, and then but he's playing it like head of eunuch and head of spy agency, intelligence for like Ming Dynasty court, like that strong vibe that comes out of his styling and his performance and the way he's been directed. I don't understand. It does not make sense. So it doesn't. I can't get any chemistry between these two leads. And then, like I said, the plot does not make sense. Each scene on its own may be okay, but you cannot link them together, and it doesn't form a coherent narrative thing. So can't quite watch it. It's just me, okay? I would acknowledge some parts of it is enjoyable, but honestly, Wu Jingyan's acting is like she hasn't improved at all since the days like you notice her from 延禧攻略. Not the type of people I'd say either is hardworking or is like on improving their skills or is naturally talented. I mean, acting is a severely depending on talent profession. It's like if you want to be a top ballerina in the world, you kind of have to be born into a particular set of talent that your body has. Otherwise, no matter how hard you try, you just can't climb to the top. Same thing here. It's extremely relying on talent, really, really, really. And if you have it, you have it. It's easy to tell. Some people just have it. Like the kid actors, you know, like you see in Chinese Dramaland. Some people just like, it's too obvious. It oozes out of them. It cannot be controlled. So. Don't blame. You obviously haven't been with my channel for long enough to understand. It has nothing to do with Chinese government and BL, right? Oh, all those things. Lovely Runner. What is that? Anybody? Chinese name? Is there a drama called Lovely Runner? It's not gonna work. You can't sell it to international. There are rules, you know? It's a Chinese produced drama. It has to get licensed in China. You cannot not get licensed and then directly sell it to a foreign, like, do you want to lose your license, basically? If you do that, your production company just loses your license because you're going against the rules. You can't do that. You dream on. It doesn't work like that. Oh, Korean drama. Is it like time travel? It's a time travel story about a girl trying to save her idol. Is it? Is it that one? I think it has like similarity to like Someday or One Day in terms of time travel. Yeah, I've heard about it, but I also heard like a lot of people weren't happy about how it got, like how it turned out towards the end. Things start to again wobble and crash. Because time travel story always have very big problems, right? In the paradox department is like, it never really quite works out, honestly speaking, because it's against the basic rules about how at least we understand here living like the basic human life works. I haven't watched it because I've heard a lot of complaints again about a lot of other things, so I was like, maybe just put off like investing too much energy and time into it. Yeah, Someday and One Day is really good. Like for the particular category of drama it is, right? It's almost like hitting the ceiling of possibilities, really. It's like how well everything can come together in terms of casting, acting, storytelling, and rhythm, the how deep the characters go, and then sort of balancing the idol drama, but also something that attempt to be a little bit more complicated and deeper than it appears. Like every department considered, when you put it together, it's almost like as good as it can go. It's hard to imagine that drama getting a lot better, right? Upon what it has already done. For this type of drama, it has almost its limits of like how far it can go. So I just feel like if it's not significantly better, say the Lovely Runner thing, then I don't want to really invest that much time into watching it, because if it's just another similar story of like similar quality, then Asian Dramaland, I know exactly what's gonna happen type of situation. So also like the two actors are not my particular type. Like I look at them and I feel nothing. Like it's just me totally, because particular programming of your brain you never quite figure out, but what you like. Is like you see somebody, it's like that's a person that immediately becomes interesting just by looking at their face to you. And then there's another person who may be equal in every department in terms of talent, like whatever, but then you're just like looking at them, you look right through them, as you can't even see them, like your eyes don't even land on them. You just look through them and they're not there. They don't speak to you. So for me, I took a very brief look at, I know the two actors. I'm like, I turn away, I cannot even recall what they look like. The girl and the boy. Like literally the actor and actress are like, their faces are like completely blurred. I cannot remember what they look like at all. Even though I've seen snippets, because it's quite popular. So I've seen like clips on social media here and there exposed to the, I'm like, I've seen enough, but I still don't know what they look like. So they don't work on me. But that's just me. It's just me. There's no good and bad or, you know, no types of judgment. It's just, if something works on you, something don't. I can't help it. I guess it's very fair because there are 8 billion people on this planet. If you literally connect to everybody as strongly as you connect to the other, you get a fry. Your brain just you short circuit and you die. You cannot process that much information. So 莫云间 is that. Hu Yao is already finished, I think, and nobody's watching, so I guess we don't need to talk about it anymore. And if you think it's the greatest drama ever, you know, totally free to think that way. Again, no right and wrong answer. Nobody's sitting there and correcting your paper and saying you're answering it correctly or not, right? So I'm just like on my channel, I'm just telling you what I think, which is so sad. And you know, in a way, I feel like it's the biggest thing to. I think the biggest embarrassment is actually not on the actor, actress, anybody. It's really on the producer, on that guy. It's so. I can't imagine what it must what it must feel like to him. Like when you totally misjudge your own abilities and then you're gonna make a fool of yourself in front of the public. Literally, that's what he's doing since last year of his fantasy dramas. 恒星引力, the guy. The younger Yu Zheng, you can think of him that way because they really are very similar in the ways they act on social media. The guy who owns Stellar and who is the who succeeded with Cao Lanjue, Fairy and Devil, and therefore he thought he is hope for the Chinese idol drama genre, and then completely misjudge everything. I think that the biggest embarrassment really is on him. that you know, like this time you see when somebody who's literally in control of, like being the top person on production, when they have no idea and they're completely out of their depth, what can happen? Hu Yao kind of completely proves that. It's like, it's pretty sad. I'm already feeling bad for Zhang Yunlong, really bad. Okay, because for the next two Hu Yao, next to Fox Spirit, the Bamboo Leaf and the Wang Quan. So the Zhang Yunlong, Liu Shishi, second one, and then Li Yitong, Cheng Yi, third one. Because to me, Liu Shishi, Li Yitong, Cheng Yi, I feel like almost like just like on the same level, sort of neutral, not really having special feeling towards them in any sense. So I'm like, yeah, whatever happens, it's just another drama in their portfolio. As for Zhang Yunlong, I just feel slightly saddened. I guess I still have the filter from the My Roommate is a Detective drama. I really like that one. I really like that one in his chemistry with Hu Yitian. And he's been around for freaking long time, like Zhang Bingbing, right? Like from all the Jiaxing, like Gao Weiguang, that group of actors who basically got signed up with Jiaxing at the same time, pretty much. Among that group of actors, right? he's like, I don't know, like I just always feel he has potential to play more serious, more diverse role, and he has a sense of, even though he often shows up in idol dramas, he tend to have a more grounded vibe. Like you can believe him playing in a serious film, drama, contemporary period, not really tied down to a particular genre and typecast, and you can almost picture him playing sort of the serious drama, a more wider range of possibilities than the other idol actors I've seen. But he just like, it still hasn't gotten his breakthrough. Maybe it's just not meant to be for certain people. So I feel slightly bad for him that now that Hu Yao first is so bad. I don't think the second is gonna miraculously get better, right? Unless you have like totally different writers to do it. And then obviously he runs into the problem where he acts opposite Liu Shishi, who you cannot hope Liu Shishi being a catalyst for another person's acting in terms of making the other person act better. The best you can hope for her is not drag the other person down. And you can think of acting opposite her as oppositing a wooden stick or a printout, right? So she is definitely not going to help him performing better. Now he's on his own in terms of perform well. If the script, the character, direction, and love and peace is not helping him, that's a battle that it's unlikely for him to win, right? So I just feel slightly bad for him, really. And it's just me. I have soft spot for Zhang Yulong for no good reason. I don't know why. Again, it's personal. Maybe 10 lifetimes ago, like I don't know, we're friends or something. That's why. I have no idea. But I just want a better, good character and drama for him, but it just hasn't happened ever since my roommate is a detective. Sometimes I still think about Qiao Siye, that character. You know, he played Qiao Chuzheng, the character. It's like, I sometimes still think of the character, and I wonder in this drama space what would happen to that character if the story continues. But it's not to be. Ah, c'est la vie, huh? So, 狐妖小红娘. As for the two leads, I mean, I think at this time we could just put hope on hold for both of them, Yang Mi and Gong Jun, in terms of good work, right, as actor and actress to come out. Right now they're completely, I mean, wouldn't say blacklisted, but to me it's like completely back burner, and unless they come out with something that completely knocks you off and then surprise you, I'm pretty much like 95% given up hope on them type of situation. It's already pretty much, it's like yeah, no, not seeing any signs of things getting better. If you've seen there's an interview, I don't know, like on Gong Jun, about what he thinks of like what he's done with his acting in 狐妖小红娘. It's out of his own mouth, so not putting the words into his mouth. He literally says somebody, after they watched his performance, someone called him and said, I think your acting has improved in this drama. Like, first, your friend is lying, and that's unlikely to be your friend. They probably have something to get out of kissing up your ass. Seriously? And if you believe that person, you're stupid. And the fact that you actually say that out loud in an interview to a stranger publicly makes me feel like weird, because then you pretty much agree with what that person says. Otherwise, you wouldn't really say it out loud in an interview. When people ask you what do you think about your own performance in 狐妖小红娘, and he would literally say, other people said he improved. Either you're completely not confident in that, but then somehow you still think you need to tell people that. Like it's odd. I don't know. Like there's some really odd psychological things going on there, and all I could say is, oh my god, it is true. Once you get famous and rich, you're surrounded by liars, and everybody is kind and good to you, but not for your own good, for their own good. And then you soon lose sight. You completely get disorientated, and you have no idea what you're doing anymore. It's sad. That means everybody around this guy is lying to him. Nobody's telling him. And he can't see it. He can't see it anymore. Or maybe he is like secretly aware of it somewhere deep down, innately, but he can't face it. I don't know which one is true, but it's funny to look at that interview. People can really be that blind, hey? He's currently currently shooting the Dark River, right? Like I said in my last week's video, I happen to have front seat, melon eating seat for that drama. So if anything happens, I'll hear it first moment. Already heard something, but I cannot tell you. No, I cannot say that on a public platform. But it kind of confirms some things I've already suspected, and I'm like, not surprised at all. I guess I should believe in my intuition. I always know. But I just like, you you can't go unless you actually interview the person. You would never find out certain things. But you're like, okay, that's good, that's cool. As an actor, right? I just feel he really should stay in two-dimensional world. He should just be a cover model. That's the best. Like Angelababy, a couple of people, Song Weilong, cover model will make them look 10 times better than when they start moving. The moment they open their mouth, start moving, it does not work anymore. And some people exist in freeze frame. Some people exist in live movement. It is just what it is. Apple is apple, orange is orange. That's it. So for Gongjun, like the other day I was like looking back on Word of Honor. I think that drama really is. I think during when it was hot, I talked a lot in live stream about the whole sort of timing of it. It's perfect. It's just the right time for everyone involved to do that. And once the timing is off, even it's the same people, it's not gonna work anymore. And you kind of can see that really well. It's just lucky. Like a lot of buff on top of each other about particular casting choices at the stage of those actors' own career. Also like the right type of script, type of direction, type of look, type of styling, everything like piled up on top of each other. And it's like the Swiss cheese thing. All the holes are lined up just like in that one moment, and you put a bullet through and it worked. But it would only work that once in the whole configuration of the universe. Once you just move one piece out of the way, it's just not gonna work anymore. And it's just very lucky. Word of Honor, I look back on certain things these days, I find it's like that. Because even for the same guy who literally didn't really change much, right? If you look at Gongjun, physically speaking, height didn't change, look, body weight, like pretty much stayed the same. But that spark of that moment probably just only existed in him around that time, got captured in that drama, and it just never came around again. And then he was lucky in the drama. I really emphasize that now, compared to his afterwards, his period dramas like 狐妖小红娘 or 安乐传, where he's in a way styled very similarly but subtly different, and just with those subtle differences with makeup, hair, costume, lighting, it makes such a huge difference. And then the character, right, the particular vibe of the character that just happens to work really well with that package of styling. And it only happens once. Once you move any of the elements, you delete them and it no longer works at all. For Gongjun, it's very obvious. For his Wen Kexing character, he was so lucky in that drama to get the perfect styling for him as a period drama character. If you compare the hair and the costume and the color and the cutting, that he got in that drama to every other period drama he's done after, even when the difference is like millimeter, it creates such a huge difference. Where the hairline is, how they style the hair right up to your ear, this part, the shape of it, and then the two dangling bits, and then how they cut particularly the shoulder and the layer of costume to hide his imperfections and then exaggerate the good part. It all worked so well. in Word of Honor, and it never happened again in other period dramas. And immediately you see, without the perfect help of styling, it wouldn't work. And it's weird, but it's very subtle. After my very detailed analysis, I would say for his face, there are a couple of problems. He has very wide opened cheek, like the bone here, and it goes outward, and it needs a little bit help with the hair to visually push it in. And that's a huge problem with the upper part of his face. If that part is completely exposed, think about Word of Honor, where he had this styling at the end where all the hair goes up when he's dressed in red. Only the last couple of episodes, he immediately doesn't look balanced. Like the face doesn't look weight-wise balanced as well as his previous couple of styling. But by that point, because the plot has gotten to that point that you kind of have so much filter on the character, you ignore it. But the fact is, his face with this part of the bone very protruding and outward going, it needs that hair. Once the hair is gone, and particular length and shape is gone, it does not help anymore. And immediately you feel the clumsiness of the bone structure here. And then for his mouth, again, if your eyes are not fully attracted to upper part of the best part of his face is here for Gongjun. If you don't have 100% attention around here, once your attention moves down to his mouth, you know, like he's gotten right now the nickname of like the horse that's chewing grass, right? That movement of the mouth becomes way too pronounced, and it debalances. The face no longer looks like pretty and lightweight. It looks clumsy. It just has that strong, clumsy bone structure thing come. And then with Gongjun, he's tall, but his proportion is not the perfect proportion for being very wide shoulders, smaller head, so that you have that almost model look. He has long, skinny neck, and a not very open and wide shoulder, and the head, because of the width of the bone, shows bigger than it actually is. So with the costume, if you can extend his shoulder out a lot, and to make this part, because he's very skinny, he almost like hunches over. So if you bulk this part up and then you push this shoulder out and you tweak his face shape, which is what most of the costumes in Word of Honor has done to help him. So he immediately looks proportionally in a wider shot, whether it's just the face or the body, gets trimmed in a way that looks much better when it's a 2D projection of a 3D thing, right? Human body on a 2D projection. But in every other period drama afterwards, nobody bothered to do that much work to make him look perfect. It's very subtle, but it's also very important. So he immediately just doesn't look as juicy and attractive as he is in Word of Honor. And those are very subtle things, but if you look at them side by side, those dramas, you compare them, it's very obvious that those tiny details of styling really helps. And also the other thing is, he doesn't work with a female lead character. For Gongjun, unfortunately, it's the case. He doesn't connect with a girl, no matter how hard he tries. It's always like he's acting his own part, the other girl is acting her own part, they never connect. The current Dark River, right? The only thing that may help it, because I don't put hope in anything. I mean, even the director, it's Intao. So that's the director of couple of sometimes fail, sometimes okay, period idol dramas. The only hope you should put in that is that it's likely to be a male lead and male second story. So it's more male than male female. Now that may help the story. I think it's more in his acting comfort zone. But then, you need the male second to be very good. In a way, more experienced and stronger than him. Like when you think back in the days of Word of Honor, the fact is, Zhang Zhehan is a more experienced actor. if he wasn't a more experienced actor, Gong Jun wouldn't have acted that well. Like that really sort of back and forth thing, right? Help each other thing out. So for the Dark River that's shooting now, the other guy, is the guy from Journey to Love. And honestly, from his performance in that drama, I have zero confidence that he is going to be helpful in this situation. If he happens to be a proper actor, it will be a lot better, but that guy cannot quite act. I mean, if you watch The Journey to Love, like, honestly speaking, right, his acting is sad. You know, that's why I don't have high hope for 暗河传, even though it's a male thing. The Swiss cheese of Word of Honor only happens once in the entirety of the history of this universe. And it's already done. You cannot get it back. Moving on, the Rose, Tale of the Rose. Like I said earlier, I quit this drama after Lin Gengxin showed up, and I'm thinking about coming back to it when Huo Jianhua goes into the main part. That's just my plan. First thing, Liu Yifei is really pretty, and if she's pulling an early 20s girl, like, I can believe 70%. Like, she's not 100% convincing in her late 30s to play a 22-year-old, but more convincing than other actresses in Chinese Dramaland. Let's just say she's like 70 to 80% okay, so I can deal with it. The first story where she has it with Peng Guanying as a story is okay. Not like the perfect type of story, I'd say, but I can deal with it. And I haven't read the original novel, but I do know what happens in the original novel, and it's totally rewritten type of situation, so you don't need to compare it. It's a very old, outdated novel of like, 1980s story, so it's like 40 years old. It needs to be like heavily rewritten. And now Peng Guanying is not my type either, so I don't like the actor's sort of overall vibe anyway, but I think at least the part with him and her, to me, the way it worked out makes sense, and parts of it I can enjoy, but then the Lin Gengxin part is just completely, I can't deal with it. I'm like, no. It's like, Liu Yifei, come on, you have better choices. You don't have to pick this guy. Like, what is good about this guy for you to pick? Like, come on, are you blind? So I can't deal with it. I left, and I may go back to later. When a young pilot and the old handsome guy, Huo Jianhua is now the old guy, comes to the story foreground. As for what type of drama it is, right? 玫瑰故事, I find it's just all the big female characters these days in Chinese drama has all this type of story, whether it's period or contemporary, has run into a dead corner, and it needs to back out and figure a new route because it's wrong overall in terms of setting up the so-called independent, strong female lead. But then it's all twisted and distorted, and by it's hard to describe it, but it has so many weird I'd say also reflection of the society right now, where on one hand you're seeing this development of, like, particularly for women, right, in Asia. Like, think about Korea, Japan, China, the type of women's rights and feminism, and globally, because of that, energy is like moving towards that direction. You cannot stop it. It's a huge wave of things. You have to like go on with it. But on the other hand, the society actually is travel backward. You can very briefly say it pretty much is a lot to do with politics, economy, money, and then how the wealth of the society has sort of started to accumulate and change its structure than, say, 40 years ago. And China has gone through a really weird period that no other nation has seen in terms of being a socialist country, but actually use a lot of very capitalistic ways of doing things for the last 4 decades to basically push the economy up, right? And along the way of development, it has shifted a lot of things. So right now, basically, the society is actually becoming more and more conservative. The values in China overall, right? 2020s, the overall value of people is a lot more conservative and right, right? Than say 40 years ago in the 80s, where things are a lot more left and progressive. It's weird, but if you've lived through 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and now in China, you will know exactly what I mean. So you have this weird contortion of, like, this weird pull of one side is trying to move that direction, and actually a lot of values are going backwards, and it's like twisting the whole thing about big female lead character in a drama, whether it's in period drama and contemporary drama. So you see a lot of very weird things showing up in Dramaland. And I think Tale of Rose is another one that's really about 2020s, although it's a set in early 2000s story that's actually written in the 80s that got adapted to early 2000s. It's filmed in 2020s, and it's really talking a lot about the dilemma the women are facing. A very complicated thing right now in China society, and the drama is kind of a reflection of the current different powers at each other, how it's very chaotic. It's very chaotic energy, it's very messy. And if you want to sit down and think through it, maybe you can write an essay about it, you can do a study on it, but I don't want to spend that brain power to do it. And, you know, even if I write an A+ essay, it's not like anybody is going to give me a degree for it. So I'm not doing it for free. I just know it's going on like that, and that's how the drama reads to me. It's really纠结 and 别扭. It doesn't sit very comfortably with itself. It's internally really, really twisted up, and there's this strung up, uncomfortable, not really comfortable with its own logic energy in the characterization of this main lead female character, and the incoherent, I'd say, value that I can sense from the story. But it's perfect for the current timing, because it shows how unclear and muddled up and how many different powers at play on this one thing. That's why it's not clear, it's not worked out, it's not simple, it's not like clean, it's very messy. The whole drama gives me that energy, but you can go and watch it and make up your mind for it. Your own mind for it. I find it's interesting, but I think it's too much brain work to actually go and do a deep analysis on that. And often I feel Chinese Dramaland doesn't deserve that much work from me for free. Like, why? You know? So I often give up on thinking too hard on it. There are quite a few interesting people who look at this deeper, I think, on China's social media, like on Bilibili. There are people who write those very interesting, insightful looks on big female lead period dramas or contemporary dramas, and what it actually reflects, right? The society's value on women, and the very overall, the very right now, the more moving towards conservative end of things that does not actually make sense and is weird, particularly for older people who have actually lived through the 90s of China, where 80s, 90s are really a lot more different than now. It's weird, but it's very different. So Tale of Rose, if you want to talk about it, it's actually quite complicated. I just don't know how, like, where I'm gonna, like, what's the angle that I can cut into this. And then it hasn't finished airing, right? It's still quite a few more stories to go, so maybe I'll wait for a bit more. If, and if you look at the only sort of like acting or drama, just performance level of things, I do appreciate Liu Yifei's acting in ways I feel perhaps because she doesn't spend most of her life actually in Chinese entertainment, right? She, since she was a kid, right, she's in the States, and then I suspect her immediate circle is not fully deeply soaked in the circles of the Chinese actors or their sort of gossips and all the people here in China. So a lot of people would criticize her acting, for example, her line delivery in Chinese, as not being well trained enough as a professional actress. I tend to disagree in that department because maybe it's one is like I don't really have a problem of understanding her Chinese at all. Streamlab, don't do that. It's weird. But it's me because I understand everybody's Mandarin. Like I'm really good at listening. Even if your Mandarin is completely out of whack, it can still understand you. So to me, it doesn't make a difference. I actually appreciate the fact that she talks not in such a well-trimmed way, sort of like perfect delivered way, particularly in contemporary dramas. You're given more freedom to not talk in a very theatrically performance-wise presentable way because real people today talk in that way. So it evokes more of a reality sense. So I am okay with her line delivery. I actually appreciate her soft and subtle tone. I can sense that she has very subtle feelings for like how she moves the words and what exact is the emotion she wants to express with her particular way of talking for that character. So I get it and I actually enjoying it. I don't have a problem with it. Now it doesn't fit probably some people's ideas about what proper line delivery is, but I don't think it's her weakness. I do appreciate that a lot. But then if other people don't, I cannot stop them from, doing what they want to do. And then in terms of her acting, at least in the first 10, 12 episodes, like where her story is with Peng Guanyin, I'm okay with it. I don't have a huge problem with it. There are a couple of scenes she actually did really well. And I think the particular couple of like, she goes crazy basically. Like the guy just hands up on her and she hasn't even managed to talk through what she wants to say. And then the guy just like stopped communicating. And anybody who's being treated like that in real life knows like the amount of anger you can immediately experience in that one moment is like explosive, and you have nowhere to outlet it because the people just disappeared. And you don't have a target, but you have so much anger you wanna. So she lashes out. That whole sequence actually works really well, and I haven't really seen a sequence like that in a contemporary drama from a Chinese Dramaland of a female character who's in that situation where the guy just like suddenly cold turkey kind of like disappeared, and you're like, what the you just like left me here, and then I haven't even said what I need to say, and it just like she goes berserk, like destroys his apartment and goes crazy. And I actually find this really interesting because you don't see any of that screen representation in any dramas. I haven't seen that, and it actually worked really well. She played that sequence really well, and I'm like, oh, it actually happens to a lot of people in reality, but it's just like you don't see it in Dramaland being shown in that detail. Like step by step, how she goes crazy calling and then starts to throw things on his walls and destroy his apartment, and then quiets down and then goes back to like her logic thinking, right? Like that whole process of how that whole sequence works out is like, I bet 90% of human beings, particularly girls, have actually gone through that. Maybe in different ways, but you've gone through that. You know like what it's like, and it goes, yet you just never seen it being actually played out in a fully detailed sequences of how this thing can happen and how she reacts stage by stage. And for that whole sequence, I'm like actually really impressed. I don't think any other actresses can play it that convincingly. Like being first, like you actually believe her age and her sort of like at that young age, right? How she would react. Like it just works out really, really well. And like I cannot imagine any other actresses playing that sequences that makes that much sense as she did it. So, like, snippets of it really worked well. But as a coherent long story, the reason I drop out, obviously, is that, for example, the Lin Gengxin part, when it shows up, it no longer convinces me. Like, if the Peng Guanyin part still somehow convinces me, because how she meet, right? How they actually meet each other. The first second when they see each other, like, under what circumstances. With all the filters and the romantic imagination you have, like, it makes sense that she has this first relationship in this way. And actually some parts of it, when they first, like when they were calling each other, one in Shanghai, one in Beijing, and it's raining, it actually really makes sense. It reminds you of like when you first fall in love, right? What it feels like. It really is logical. Like it actually makes sense, although emotionally it's also very there. So for the first love she has, like it makes sense for me. But then, like, the Lin Gengxin part, I'm like, no. I can't watch this. This is too much. This is too much. It cannot convince me that this actually makes sense. So I quit. That part of the drama, I don't even want to watch. Okay. And then so when it goes back to the sadder true love that cannot be together story, when Huo Jinhua shows up, I will watch it. I'm waiting for that part. It may make sense to but I cannot deal with it. Like it angers me. It's like the don't go into a trash can to find a guy. It's like, girls, like take a deep breath and take a good look at yourself in the mirror. It's like find at least on. I'm like, don't go into a trash can, basically. That's where the auntie and the mother part of me comes out. It's like, if my daughter is like that, it makes my blood boil, right? So I can't deal with it, and I quit. And also, like, I find Lin Gengxin is just so not attractive, like the way he's presented in this drama particularly. I'm not saying this guy is not, because actors, they're all just moldable. They're sculptures. Particular dramas can do so much wonders on them with makeup, with styling, with particular setup of characters. It immediately changes your perspective of the person. So I'm not saying the actor actually is anything like wrong with him. Like if you've seen his recent running photo in Hong Kong, he's actually so much skinnier now. I think he got maybe just like ready for other projects, or maybe he just got so pissed about people saying he's fat. He's like lost so much weight recently. So actors are completely right. You can adjust them really easily. But at least what he appears to be, right, in this drama, the way he is, I'm like, oh my god, like I know this type of guy in real life like that. I'm like, I can't, yeah. It's like, I've seen enough real life men like that. I'm like, I don't need a drama one that's played by Lin Gengxin, right, to remind me that there are guys like that in this world. I'm like, even just to keep my last bit of good impression of Lin Gengxin as a person, I don't want to watch this part. No. So I quit. Okay, sorry. I mean, there was a time that he was 九亿少女的梦, right? So I wouldn't argue on a very hard standard level. He's a very good looking guy, but no matter how good looking you are, if you're not well groomed and like managed, you can still collapse really easily. Even like Liu Haoran, right? Like if you remember back in the days of Nirvana Fire 2, he was like the perfect young general, right? So such a beautiful, fresh youth. And as soon as he given up on like keeping his weight down, and then putting on mustache, he immediately looks like, oh my god, who are you? And then recently, at a fashion sort of like event, he goes back to his skinnier. Yes, unfortunately, when he thins down, his jawline shows up and his bone structure immediately becomes much more defined. And then without that, right, just clean shaven, and immediately goes back to the younger sort of like more. He looks 10 times better. Because he's not physically aged to like say 40 years old. I'm talking about Liu Haoran. Xiao Pingjing of Nirvana and Fire 2. Because he's not yet physically 40. So if he keeps those beard and stuff on and he's not old enough to carry it with him, it looks like just basically dirty and unshaven. It's just like you don't wake up every day and wash your face kind of look comes out. So that he's better kept very well, sort of like cleaned up at this age. Now, if 15, 20 years later, he starts to put more beard on, it would actually look probably making sense for him. But that's just because, right, it fits sort of that age and the vibe of the person. Right now, it's not the perfect time. So Lin Gengxin, any actor, I think they have this perfect combination with their actual age and at that moment, what looks best for them. But like Lin Gengxin right now, in like the way he looks in Tale of Rose, I can't deal with it. So I was like, get out before it destroys my impression of you. Have a good day. Happy working. So that's Tale of Rose. And then we have right now the ongoing, just started airing Condor Hero. The new version, 2024 version. 此杀 is 郭靖, 包尚恩 is 黄蓉. The guy from... What is that? Lost You Forever? Is it the fourth guy? Is Yang Kang. And Mu Nianci isn't she the actress in the 英语奉行, the lotus flower? I can't remember if she is. But anyway, the Condor Hero new version has started airing. It's weird. It's, on one hand, I can tell they actually are working pretty hard and they really have an overall quite good attitude towards this canon in wuxia. I can feel they're not really like there to just like trying to grab quick money. But then it's like there's no resources for them. No good choreographer, no good storyteller, no good writer, no good cameraman. It's like the overall team is just too lacking in their ability to do the work too well, so that it comes out as this, it's watchable, but barely can you say you can sell it on anything type of situation. I've watched to about 8 episodes, like yesterday's episodes. I can't remember which one. But 射雕, the 铁血丹心, the Legend of Heroes, right? The wuxia, Jingyong, the new one. It's like that. It's okay. I can tell 此杀 is working very hard, and he does have certain things he can do well, such as like riding horses because he trained from Fengshen. So like an arrow shooting, riding horses part for the character makes sense for him to play, but frankly speaking, he is not a professional actor, right? It's very hard for a guy who literally gets no training all his life and then at the sort of like age of like whatever gets recruited by the whole crew of Creation of Gods and get trained to play. But he still lacks a lot of like, he needs a lot of homework. So when he's playing, like actually acting a leading role, like in like the current 射雕, you feel he doesn't have enough tools in his bags to deal with it, right? And if you look at Creation of Gods, the film, because he's a supporting role, he has very little screen time. He literally shows up like 3 times in the whole movie, and he shows up basically fight, right? He's the 二郎神, he's super powerful, he has this thing, and he looks great, right? He comes out, fight, goes away, fight, goes away. So he only did those couple of scenes in the movie and it's really suited. So it works out perfectly. But now he's the main lead actor. He's #1 lead. And you see that his acting is far from being enough to hold the drama. Here is where years of training need to come in to support you. And when you don't have it, you need wild talent instead. But he doesn't really have it. So it's watchable, but if you look at the new Condor hero with Cixia and Bao Shang'en, and then you compare it to 2016 Yang Xuwen and Li Yitong's version, where Yang Xuwen is Guo Jing and Li Yitong is Huang Rong. If you compare, because both versions I believe got dubbed, did they? I'm not sure, the 2016. I've watched it, but I can't remember. Because this one gets dubbed. Cixia's Mandarin is not good enough. And then if you compare these two dramas, you immediately see, I guess for the particular genre of wuxia drama, you're expected in a way to act in a way that that I think Li Yitong and Yang Xuwen being like having more experience and actually gone through acting sort of academies, they have that thing there in a lot more. Then compared to say Cixia playing Guo Jing, it just I can see that very honest, candid, and good sort of attitude of the actor in Cixia, trying to do the role justice and do it well, but he is not really ability-wise strong enough to do it well. Acting really is in acting. And then when you think about it, it's a wuxia story. Choreography of this drama is again going to all those quick cuts, multiple angles covering quick cuts. You can't do a consistent fighting like in the long shot in any sense because they can't do it, and it's no longer the golden days of wuxia. Huang Rong, Bao Shang'en, she energy-wise actually is pretty close to, I'd say, what Huang Rong should feel like. Again, her acting is not so good to the point where you can ignore that she might not be looking perfectly for the role, right? And I don't have a huge problem actually with her acting. Parts of it is okay, but I think she's still a little bit away from how most people in their mind's eye would picture Huang Rong. Being this very unreal character, because it's written by the author as sort of the ideal woman of his projection. So she has beauty, very pretty, but she has quick wit, super clever. She has that unconventional energy, that little fairy like bubbly energy. And she's just too idealized as a literature sort of character that I doubt any real living person will ever be able to do justice to this on paper role. But Bao Shang'en probably is energy-wise okay, but then shockingly, impressively, like lit up the scene entry when she is like in the first scene when she comes out as a girl, like on the boat. In the book, the way it's written, right? She can't quite like justify that kind of description, but then it's not really too bad on her. Like I'm okay with her Huang Rong actually up to this point. I'm okay with her, and I also like I'm okay with Cixia, but I know like they're both like not enough for these two characters, right? And then overall production it really shows that it's off. It's not the right time for wuxia now, because we just don't have the human resource to make good wuxia right now in China. Literally. Not that many good choreographer, not that many good actors who's being trained enough to actually do the fight on screen themselves. It's hard work. It's like sports. It's like if you've never been trained, you can't do it no matter how hard you try, right? You need years and years. It's just hard work. It's like if you've never been trained in ballet, you're not going to be able to do certain movement because you haven't been trained. And it's that simple. And these actors are not being trained in those. And then for safety reasons, all this type of thing, they can't really film, you know, a long sequence of them fighting. So they have to resort to camera movement, editing, whatever special effect. And it just like, again, it's no longer that golden days of wuxia. And Jingyong wuxia, at least with the first 10 episodes, I can tell they don't have a super high budget. Like you can tell the drama is not being made on a very big budget. So certain things are very, very clearly shot in studio. When it's trying to imitate a wild, open exterior environment, it's clearly shot in studio. Like the lighting is so studio lighting. It just takes you out of the story. The desert part. If you watch the first couple of episodes, you'll see the desert part is it's so fake that I started laughing. It's just slightly better than like 仙剑6, you know, like the Sword and Fairy with Yu Shuxing and Xu Kai. It's just slightly better than that, but barely. And golden era of wuxia is gone. And you want it back, you probably need another 20 years of training people. Na Jia has been training. You know, the actress, she's super skinny, pretty, but everybody says she cannot not act. So she's like the other Diliroba, right, from Xinjiang. Everybody knows Na Jia, and she's been recently training with Chenglong's team to play Xianyu. So I think she's intending to switch her career, maybe down the path of not playing wallflower and pretty girl princesses anymore. She's switching to fighting, which is pretty impressive considering she's not like starting it when she's young and she's really skinny, like hard work. But then she has dancing background, so that may help her. And then she's been doing a lot of training with Chenglong's team for a performance in a wuxia film, I think. At least with the sequences that have been put out right now, she's doing pretty well. Like her riding is impressive. She can now stand on the horseback and ride a horse or shoot arrows from a running horse. And then she has this whole sequence of actually, I mean, there's wire work, but she does go up in the air and then kick in a circle. Like that's actually quite a bit force. Like you can tell you get trained. Otherwise you won't be able to pull yourself up to that angle. And also like you can see her neck, like this huge long sword and saber that just literally rolls around her neck twice, and then she grabs it and cuts the other person. It's actually a real shot that she did herself. That's with Na Jia. So maybe near future you're gonna see her in the finished thing where she actually is a Xianyu and she's fighting it herself. That's a lot of hard work. And I'm impressed by the fact that she's so skinny and she can still do it. Like, where is the muscle? Like, you can't even see her muscle. She's like bone thin, right? Her rib cage is completely visible from her, like, if you see her, like, lower sort of, like, clothing. Her shoulder, she has nothing on her arm. She's, like, bone thin. And then, I don't know, like, where she get all the muscle power. Like, she doesn't look like she has muscle, almost, but she does. So, Na Jia is pretty impressive right now. Waiting for her stuff to come out so that it can surprise everybody. If you don't know, you can just search her, right? Search, like, her currently fighting videos on Bilibili. There are plenty, and it's pretty impressive. It's all her. It's no stunt double. It's actually her doing it. But I still think even like when she's like, you know, she needs to put a little bit weight on. She looks so much prettier when she's slightly more, you know, like she's got a little bit under the skin, like like fat. She looks so much prettier when she's slightly more heavy than what she's now. She's too skinny, and like that collagen and that fat, like the reflective quality of your skin, if you have a layer of fat under it, right, when the light hits it, it will just have the translucent light coming out. She doesn't have that because she's too skinny, and I'm like, give it a bit more. Yeah. And she's already, like, even when she's fat, she's actually still super skinny. And so many actresses now are just way too anorexic. I think they're just all looking like they're gonna die. Chinese actresses are so, like, I feel so bad about them because they're so skinny. Everybody is just on like, is it malnutrition? Like they all look like they're about to die, starve to death. You know, like you think about Zhao Jinmai, for example. Zhao Jinmai, she has a quite rounded face, so people mistakenly think she's fat. She's not. If you look at her body, you get so scared. She's like 70, like 80, like under 80. Jing, which is like what, 40 kilos? It's impossible to function with that body weight. Like your hair is gonna fall out. Your period's gonna stop, and anything can kill you. Like infection, you're dead. And I don't know. Like it's so twisted. You look at all those girls; they're so skinny. Oh my god. They're not size 0, they're size 00, something like that. Anyway, 射雕 is like what it is now. I'll probably keep watching it, but I mean, actually for next week, I don't know what drama I should be talking about. I'm not ready to talk about Rose because I want to watch a bit more, and then 射雕 is lukewarm, like not really feeling it. And I'll cut in quickly to tell you unfortunate news about the film version of Three Body. So apparently, because it's the most valuable IP in sci-fi, we're just not gonna let it go easily. So now you have the Chinese drama version, you have the Netflix drama version. Zhang Yimou is making a film version. No kidding, Zhang Yimou. The big director of Chinese film is taking on the film version of Three Body Problem. You know, like the first time I heard about that piece of news, immediately in my brain, a music came up. I kid you not, it's my reaction. That instant when I was looking at Weibo, because Shanghai Dianjie is going on, so there's this thing that interviews him, and he officially, during this thing, announced, and pretty much like basically the three bodies of like copyright holder, right? Pretty much announced. Zhang Yimou is gonna be the director of the film version of Three Body. And when I saw that on my feed, in my head, I heard this. Da, 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 da. You have to be a Chinese person to know what that comes from. That is the funeral music. If you go to a Chinese person's funeral, and that's the standard music, very slow, very solemn. That's the music of every Chinese dead person. 告别仪式, right? When you, like the service where you go and say goodbye with all the white flowers in the room, and that would be the music playing in the background, because that's the Chinese 哀乐. When I saw that piece of news, my head started to play that. Dun, 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 dun. I can't stop it. What's wrong with Zhang Yimou? You're asking him to direct a sci-fi. You're asking a cat to herd sheep, you know, like it's just good luck, okay? Zhang Yimou and sci-fi. You have no idea like how fast Zhang Yimou's Zhang Yimou's like all the images he managed to build up in his whole career up to this point in cinema is quickly being diminished and overspent and disappearing within the younger generations of audiences these days, ever since the last couple of films he put out. Since last year and a year before, like a couple of movies he put out that really angered a lot of young audiences, and I'm saying like younger to 20, 30 coming up young people are really like, we don't give a shit to what you've earned in your lifetime. You're 70, 80-year-old, you've done a lot of whatever in cinema, but it's not your time anymore, and you're basically standing over the pit and not shitting properly, so go off. Like, that's what the young people are thinking of him these days, and it's very quick. Like, his reputation on China's internet among young people is very bad. It's collapsing like tower, like the tower card of terror. And only the older generation probably have filters and have some good memories of like stuff like in his fame. Like his fame only means something to the older people. But for the younger people and the coming up younger generations, pretty much everybody is like, we don't give a shit to who you are. And you're putting out a piece of crap works out there, and you're laughing, you're mocking us in our face, and don't ever think that we don't see it. And young people are very, very like making jokes of him. Like, they're thinking of him as a buffoon now, and really it's like how it's on the internet. If you look at how many people make funny videos on Zhang Yimou and dubbing him and dubbing his interviews with like absolutely ridiculous comedies of like playing, his reputation is like close to like completely getting destroyed with 1 or 2 movies among the younger audiences. It's really very, very quickly diminishing. So if he takes on 3-body and he picks it up in any way, he's dead. Like, everything he's built up to this point in his career as the director of Chinese cinema, by the time he ages to like 80, will completely be irrelevant and obliterated. I'm telling you, it's happening. It's very epic to see it unfolding, and I find it's absolutely stupid for him to take on the project. Because he's not a sci-fi director. He never did any like proper sci-fi. And also, if you look at his recent sort of couple of movies in the last 5-10 years, the ones that actually got better reaction and responses are all the things that's in his comfort zone. What he's been doing all his life, like The Shadow, you know, the Ying, the Deng Chao and Sun Li water, like Chinese water painting color movie. Like, that one probably is one of the better ones. He got good responses, and everything else is just people are laughing at him being less and less capable of making movies. So if he takes on 3-body, which is completely out of his comfort zone at this age, which like what, he's 70s, and then by the time they finish pre-production, I don't know, like he's hitting 80s or whatever, like making this movie, it's just way out of his reach. And I don't understand what's the point of doing that. It's like, what else do you need? You have the position in cinema in China. You've done that much. Like, what else do you need? You need money? No. Like, why do you do it? And also, like, it's like 人贵在有自知之明, right? You need to know your boundary and limit. Also, like, just give it to younger people. Foster more talents, right? Once you get to the age and that position, your position honestly should shift towards like guiding the younger people and helping the industry to like think about the ecology, right, of it going on. And instead of like, I want to still stand on top and take it all. If you look at his like 满江红, right, or last year's 坚如磐石, those movies, you can really tell everybody has their limit. And by this age and time, and a lot of things has completely solidified in him as a person. You're no longer as flexible as you're young, and literally I cannot imagine him for like becoming like really constantly renew himself even at that. He's not that type of person. And like with my father age generation Chinese man who have succeeded in their professional field to an extent. I've seen many people like that. I know what type of life they've gone through and what kind of ideas they have about everything, and basically the like how impossible they can be open to new things, and it's like, anyway, I'm just saying, it's really just not a good idea for him, and also for this IP, for him to take it on at this age. It's not gonna be good result for him or for this IP. People need to know their sort of limit, really. And there are rules about, for example, by what age you can no longer fly a plane. Not because you're not experienced, but because you're at that age, you're not supposed to do it anymore, I mean, somebody should just tell them, like, don't make movies like you have no idea about. Sci-fi is a different beast, particularly with Cixin. Like, think about what Guo Fan did with Wandering Earth. Like, just imagine Zhang Yimou being the director taking on Wandering Earth. It's just not gonna work the same, like... Anyway, it's a bad news for me anyway. When I heard that, I immediately talked to an industry friend. I was like, oh my god, this is serious? What the heck? And her opinion is like, if he actually takes it on, it's gonna flop so bad for him and also for this IP. If he doesn't, he would have done the right choice and right thing for the IP and for himself. It's still early. Maybe he will quit. Like, if it doesn't carry through it, it gives it to somebody else, it will be good for him. But if he doesn't, for sure it's not gonna end well. I guarantee you, if Zhang Yimou is staying on this project and being Three Bodies film director, it's gonna flop, for sure. Let's just say, like, no, I know that generation of Chinese men too well to know it's not gonna work. You should trust me on that, because he basically is my father generation guy. And I've seen so many these men, how they operate in real life, and I'm like, good luck. So that's one thing. What else? And also, like, recently, after the airing of Tumblr second season, I've seen a lot of people commentary on the second season. I find it's very interesting, and they're very right about a lot of things. I find myself being still too kind in my review about Joy of Life. I should be even harsher, but I tend to, like, mellow out in my videos. I don't get as confrontational as I am really in life when I talk about dramas. But Tumblr, Joy of Life too. We've already talked about it last time, but now it's finished, right? And somebody on Bilibili said very sternly that it is 钩子文学. And I agree. I actually agree with it. It's hard to translate that. You don't have, like, it's a very imaginative way of using Chinese. And it's not in the standard Chinese language, so it's hard to translate what 钩子文学 means. But 钩子 is... it's not very... it's very polite to use that word, but a type of literature. Let's say it's just on the super... delusional, self-congratulatory, satisfying your own biggest daydream, but pretty pathetic type of literature. And I've seen that video, and I think it's actually really, really on spot, and it just cranks it quite high in terms of like what I said, particularly like I said it's very sadistic to do that type of torturing little characters so that they can be a bridge or material, the petrol to get burned to wake up the main lead. I find it's very sadistic. And it's pretty much telling the same thing, but in a much more harsher way, I think, in those people's commentary about the whole fighting for equality, but then your lead character is the most privileged, unfairly privileged person in the whole storytelling. And then, not to mention that it's all built upon the fact that he has a biological mother who is a legend, but then all the values of that woman becomes completely torn to pieces and eaten by all the men in the story, including her own son. So her value becomes completely consumed, and again, fuel and stuff for the men to burn and shine. And it's really sort of a male ultimate daydream of having all the best in the world and power. And it's really, and also the adaptation writer has completely just like the ego got so big to barely contain his happiness of just playing with everybody's fate type of situation. So yeah, 庆余年 ends with season 2, and they're starting supposedly to shoot season 3 really quickly soon. And then the whole story about 庆余年 and why it happened the way it is, the first season, and then waited for like 4 or 5 years, and then all that. There's actually a lot of background story that's to do with the company, Xinli, and its restructuring, its deal with Tencent and Yuewen. And basically it's all money that's playing behind the scenes that causes it to delay and then wait for so long and then put it out this time. The fact is, this drama could be filmed a lot earlier, and then made a lot earlier, not waiting for the 4 or 5 years. But because of the particular contract that this company has signed up with Yuewen, that's 对赌. That's like you have to basically hit this profit margin for year 1, year 2, year 3 continuously, so that this contract can be honored. So we acquire you with this much of share. If you don't hit the number, then we are gonna get you like with a lower price, or we're gonna get more share of you. So within this contract that Xinli has with Yuewen, because of the time constraint it has, and then it runs right into, unfortunately, COVID, and that causes the industry to pretty much get like completely stopped. Therefore, they signed a second contract, I believe. That's like the following up because of the unpredicted COVID thing, so that they have an attached contract after the 3 years of another 2 years. I think it adds up to 5. Therefore, basically for every annual year, for the profit, for the money to come in, right, there's this ideal number if this company can do on that year that will allow them to basically hit the mark. Therefore, basically at the end come out with the best deal they can have with this acquiring thing. So therefore, that's why actually it's all money, that why the second season of Joy of Life didn't happen earlier, because when they signed the following up contract, they have to time it to the perfection timing so that they get the best out of it. That's why you have 庆余年 1 happening at the end of 19, and then 2020, early January, you have COVID hitting, and it changes everything. So it messes up the 3-year plan of this company. And then its other dramas didn't do as well to do the yearly sort of target of their contract. And therefore, all the mess comes in, and eventually it becomes a money game, and it played to what we end up seeing these days with how 庆余年 gets aired. And in the whole process, basically, what determines when and how it gets made is completely the money game. It's nobody cares about the IP. I can tell you that. The story does not matter. It's like how we get the best amount of money at the right time from this IP is number one. And that's why we have this version that comes out at this year, this time, and then how it's done like this. And in terms of like why this drama can get so many people, right? Like all the older actors come together, that's another story. But basically, think about this: how they get Chen Daoming and Wu Gang and all those older father actors in to support Zhang Ruoyun, right? It has to do with the Beijing circle of Chinese entertainment, which there are two big circles in China. One is the Shanghai circle, one is the Beijing circle. So Shanghai circle is the recent, will happen very soon, Bai Yulan. Why Magnolia? It's a very Shanghai award. So you're gonna see very heavy leaning towards Shanghai originated actors and also like that circle people. Usually always goes to there. And then there's a Beijing circle. So there are two big circles, and they all are made with different types of people. And it becomes, it's the same like Stanford versus Harvard, you know, whatever. Like you have landlines and you have like graduates of this, and they're like set up in circles. Same thing in entertainment. So for Joy of Life, it pretty much is a combination of all the important influence people of Beijing circle. And the reason they do, like they would make sure Joy of Life doesn't fail. Even Joy of Life 2, when it comes out, why it gets so much ad money, apart from the first one really was successful, so it gets very anticipated, and all the advert people know there's you know profit, like it's good to support this drama. But on the other hand, basically it is a representation of the Beijing circles, all the important people in it, and its future value. Basically they cannot let Xinli, this company, fall. They also cannot let this IP fall, because it's the representation of the Beijing circle, right? There's no way it can fail. Therefore, even if, say, if it didn't get that much ad support, there will be companies that would actually go out of their way to make sure it gets enough ad money so that this IP keeps its heat and relevance, and so that this Xinli company hit its target. It's all like those people, like the money is playing in a bit behind. So it's destined to be popular and big. And in the process, everybody is only caring about that. They actually don't care about the story. Joy of Life is the thing that it has to succeed, because it has too many people's interest in it, and because too many most important Beijing circle people are in it, whether it's in the actual story as actors or behind the scenes playing all the money game. Therefore it cannot fail. That's why it looks like what it looks like now. It's really weird. And all the people who are in this drama, they're all Beijing circle deeply tied down people. For example, Chen Daoming, very Beijing circle, and he is actually a really good friend with Hai Yan, who is the father of the director of The Double. I've talked about it, like The Double, in my video about The Double's director is the second generation of the Beijing circle godfather. And this guy actually wanted to be an actor, but he had plastic surgery fail, so his face is just not suitable for acting, so he became a director. So all these people, if you look at Li Xiaoran, or all those actors, actresses of the Joy of Life panel, including Zhang Ruoyun, right? They're all Beijing circle, deeply ingrained into Beijing circle people, and this drama is their game. That's why it's really it's all that is playing. So it's never just so simply an IP, right? It's so much more than that. It's yeah. So this is the Beijing circle, and then you have the Shanghai circle, and you'll see these two circles are completely not blending. they have their own castles, and they're guarding their own land. Yeah, it's yeah. So you'll see Bai Yulan, why certain people get nominated, certain people don't, and then why always the awards goes to certain people and not the others. It's pretty pathetic, right? Every place it has its own political correctness. So when you know all that, it kind of is like you no longer can look at this drama with a very I guess you put psychological barriers, right? You have this I put the guard up. I no longer allow myself to not seeing these things and let it like I can't fully basically jump in the story, just look at it as a story. Because every time I'm on the brink of getting touched or moved, I would think, are you trying to gaslighting me? You know, because the whole motive of making this drama is so much more heavy on the power play of this circle of people trying to basically keep the resources in their hand and keep control of the powers they already have. Like, they don't want to let go. They don't want it to. They're looking for the second generation to take on and perpetuating their dominance over this. So it becomes, you know, that this drama now is basically the front for them to do that. Therefore, any sort of genuine sort of emotion you allow yourself to feel for it, you feel like you're being stupid. So you cannot fully love it anymore. And I mean, the more you know about these things, the less you're gonna like the drama. Also, like the whole thing about why basically so many older veteran actors come to this drama to support the male lead who's a young guy, right? Or because Zhang Ruoying is I think in a way, obviously never spoken, but pretty agreed among the elders of the Beijing circle right now, is he is the guy to be their chosen next generation leader in the way of the Beijing circle, of the film and television land. They're trying to basically, I will not use that word, but you know which one I will use, to make this now in his 30s guy to be the future heir to the power of their circle. Because you have to, like, you know, you're old. Like Chen Dangming is 70s in his, and he's graying very fast, and he's getting old. You're gonna find your heir to sit on the throne in a way, right? For this Beijing entertainment power business, who is gonna be the future Jiazhang. It's sad, you know. It's like we're in the People's Democratic country, and we have this. Anyway, so entertainment business is like, yeah, in a way like mafia, but you can say it's like Korean chaebol, or it's like any other, like it's just in entertainment, it has its own version. So the Beijing circle people, they need to foster and pick potential future candidates for this and that, and Zhang Ruoying is one of the people they bet money on, because his father is in the circle, right? So he's one of those hopefuls. Everything considered, being an actor pretty good, and then this and that, and then family background, and then he basically is the kid that all those uncles watched him growing up, like since he was born. All those older actors were literally like his uncles, right? So think about that. It's a whole family situation, but it's also business. So that's what Qing Yuan is like, and that's Beijing circle. And at least for the male heir of this power circle in entertainment, Zhang Ruoying is definitely like on the top of the list. And then you see a couple of Beijing originated actors here and there who tends to get a lot of good roles, leading roles, but who are completely like just normal in terms of like, are they super good looking? Not really. Acting very good? Not really. But then they get a lot of roles and support. When you see these people, just think about they all come from certain background that gets supported by certain people who are growing their second generation, third generation heir. That's what it is. Beautiful, isn't it? Chen Feiyu is not just a pretty face. Chen Feiyu is half a pretty face. I'm gonna get murdered by saying that. The half that looks like his mother is pretty. The half that looks like his father is he needs mouth taping. You know what I'm saying is true, although it sounds very cruel. But hey, you're willing to put your face on the screen for everybody to scrutinize, so I'm just doing the job. Okay? Actors, unfortunately, when you pick this profession, you basically pick to be judged by your looks. You're not doing a radio play. You're not being, radio host and a voice actor. So you're gonna get judged. Everything. Your hair, your makeup, your face, your body, or your mode, your tattoo, the way you walk, the way you sound. Your whole body is your product. Love this world, hey? So now you have so now after this, I don't think anybody can look at Joy of Life, right, as naively as just the drama. It's so not the case. And I just no longer can ever have very neutral feeling towards it anymore. I'm Aquarius, so I hate this type of monopolizing of whatever. Okay, it's just it's not the advanced way of living in this universe, let's just say. What else do we have? We've talked about a couple of drums and everything. Let me just look at what people are saying. It is everywhere, but I think, right, nepotism, I mean, it's normal. Everything has it. You cannot get rid of it. It's in human nature. But by what point does it start to hinder the growth and health of whatever this area is, right? Whether it's in higher education, in entertainment, in any particular profession, right? Some part of it is unavoidable because it's done by humans. But then at what point does it start to affect the quality of performance and longevity of it, the health of it? Basically overgrowth to the point that it stuffs itself to, it kills it. It kills its creativity, it kills its future. You've seen that playing out in history. Often how the thing kills itself by overdoing that. Poetry scene is truly iconic, yes, performance-wise, and it's very strong, for sure. That's why it's called 爽文. But then you can have a counter argument about this whole novel is based on basically this guy is being a thief. The way that he can produce that kind of impressive thing and become a god of literature is because he stole literature of every great writer in real Chinese history. And he combines hundreds of people's best work in their whole lifetime, and he chucks it out in one moment. Half an hour. He recites the best poetries from hundreds of poets in entirety of Chinese history. It's like plagiarism cranked up to top. And then he credits that all to himself. So he becomes a god in the story setting. And when you think about that, it's it's 爽, right? It's 爽. But that is just so unfair. Such an unfair advantage. And then not to mention, he actually stole 红楼梦, right? The classic Chinese novel, and he writes it as Dickens of the story and puts it out on newspapers, and people chase after him. He's the super hot star. Again, he stole other people's things. And it's very strong for sure when you read it, right? But it's only because in the story setting, he would never be caught because it's impossible to catch him with that. So he enjoys basically all the benefit that comes from him stealing people stuff. And you can 爽 with him for a bit, but then at the end of it, you have to realize that that is just not the right way to live your life. And it's definitely definitely not the type of value that should be encouraged, or at least I think people shouldn't ever think that that's the right way of doing it. Right? When you think about it, it's actually quite. Imagine like if Li Bai is really there, right? And he would be able to recite a poem before Li Bai can think of it. And Li Bai would be like, what the fuck? So I'm just saying, to an extent it's enjoyable, but then you have to like at some point have to actually realize this is just it should make you quite nervous when if you ever attempt to do that in real life, right? It's just not right. So at some point you have to stop it and then go, yeah, I'll just have fun with it within the limit of this dramatic space it sets up, right? I have fun for 5 minutes, I walk out of it, and I will know it's wrong to do that. You kind of have to be very clear about it. I think there's one last thing. Oh, and then in case people don't know, I would just quickly mention, ever since the beginning of this year, around January or February, Chinese New Year, something is like in Chinese entertainment on China's internet has been brewing. It hits its peak time around April. Now it's slightly died down, but it's still like its aftershock is like still being seen in everything, and it has become a new meme on China's internet. If anybody cares about entertainment or drama or film, like if they watch any type of content related to it, commentary like what I do, or like the type of Chinese drama review, which really is like not showing your face. Like the reviewer usually doesn't show up. There's just a voice, and then they cut the videos into their like the actual footage of the drama. For that type of world, there's this huge thing that's going on, which is Ru-ology. I hope people have heard about it, which is Ru-yi. Ru-yi's story, like the Ru-yi's royal whatever. Basically the second 甄嬛传, right? The Zhou Xun and Huo Jianhua one that came out in 2017 or something that ended up in a weird battle with 延禧攻略. That drama has seen the first time ever in Chinese drama history of long after it has finished airing and even getting pulled down from online platforms officially. After it's aired for 6-7 years, gets dug up and then gets criticized second by second, scene by scene, and all its sins dug up by watchers, with a huge amount of content produced, criticizing, analyzing, breaking it down, trying to basically 7 years later figure out what the F went wrong with the drama when they actually shot it, and who had a hand in making it. And then basically it's like internet open court on a drama that's 7 years old off internet and on the leading actress in a way that nobody ever seen this type of thing play out ever before, and probably in the future will be more, because now you can do it, but it never happened before. And it's to such an extent, like the sheer amount of content people have produced on analyzing Ru-yi, this character, and then Zhou Xun, this actress, her part in how the thing gets done at the end like that, and then the original author and director, like everybody, but Zhou Xun is the one that gets picked out and to be in a way like the most important either scapegoat or actually culprit in the whole sort of whole thing of Ru-yi. It's epic. I'm seeing it unfolding on China's internet, and it's the first time I've seen it happening in Dramaland or any Dramaland, and it's eye-opening. It's eye-opening, and it's like so perfect timing because it's 2024. It's the entry point of the next 20 years of the whole sort of, first is that thing in Chinese fortune telling, and also the 200 years of Aquarius whatever. Anyway, it's just epic that it just starts right on this year. And if you haven't heard about it, right, you should really dig deep into it. 如懿传, the 周迅霍建华 Qin Dynasty Palace drama that came out the same year as 延禧攻略, and to be said as the second 甄嬛传. Oh my god, it's epic. It's epic. How it's getting torn apart, picked to pieces, analyzed shot by people on the internet. And then basically saying the boomerang is never gonna miss you. It's just late. This time it took 7 years for the boomerang to come back, and it hit Zhou Xu in her face in the most epic way. Wow. So before this, she still has this sort of like acting genius type of image in people's mind. And now among younger audiences, like if you don't go on internet, you don't use Bilibili, you probably are not aware of it. So like my parents would not be aware of it, but younger people who actually are heavy users of social media and stuff, it's kind of completely destroyed her in this demographics of people. Now if you just go online and you just quote one 儒学, the Ru-ology, okay, Ru-ology meme, like 主聪慧, immediately everybody is gonna, or 臣妾百口莫辩. Like these two lines have become taglines for this thing, and it's so hard to explain that if you don't know anything about it. But I'll quickly put it together. And the thing is, if you want to actually know how much content people have produced among this topic and how good they are, like epically in-depth psychology, feminism, social value, like all types of analyze about, incredible. Like the amount of stuff people have done on their own produced content on China's internet, given you have to understand Chinese because it's already like quite into the language and it cannot be translated with the sheer volume of stuff people put out. So if you don't know Chinese, it's almost impossible to understand why people put so much content out and they're so watched. Like those videos that are 30, 40 minutes per, and they're like 40, 50 videos on one channel that's just going at this drama, like knocking on its head with everything you can think of. And those videos gets like hundreds, thousands, millions of views, and then thousands and tens and thousands of live comments that just go across the screen like crazy. I have never seen a 7-year-old drama that getting dug up and then getting just smashed by like every scene to this level. I'm like marveling at how pissed off when the internet gets, like what they can do, the amount of damage. Oh my god. So basically what happened is, by the end of last year, it's already starting to happen, but it didn't get hot until beginning of this year. Starting with last year, there is a Bilibili content maker who is very small, not big at all, and she only does video commentary. She plays Sims. Okay, she builds houses, builds people on her like channel, and she puts out those like the commentary on her game. And one day, she accidentally made a video talking about 如懿传, some parts of it. And without really like knowing it's gonna do anything, and it basically is like commentary and then picking stuff about the drama and what she thinks is wrong with it. And then it attracted a group of fans of Ru Yi and Zhou Xun to attack her. And because she's a small channel and she's never seen it before, so she got really pissed. So she's so pissed that she's like, okay, I don't know you people are out there. I have all the time in the world. So she starts to do videos on 如懿传 and pick it apart about what is wrong with all the values. Mostly it's like the values this drama is putting out and what's wrong with it. And it immediately gets a lot of traction. It started at her point, and then more people start to catch up on it. And more criticism of this drama starts to happen. Leading up to early this year, what happened was there's a wave of more content getting produced on this. And one day, all those creators realize their videos are getting taken off Bilibili by like type of copyright strike. And the initiator of this is likely to be, but basically basically it's like it's under the initiator did it with the reasoning being it's a attack on the actress, where a lot of this is actually talking about what's wrong with the values that the drama advocates. And then with that reasoning, because when they take down your notice, it will send you a notice and saying because you are violating this rule of this rule for this reason. And it pisses those people off. And it just immediately accelerated the situation to everybody who has criticized this drama sort of simultaneously get their video taken down, and then it's under the excuse basically of it's an attack on this actress and whatever, and they're like, okay, so now you really want us to attack you? Because previously they're not really that specific about Zhou Xun is being wrong. They're talking about the overall sort of like we're in 2010s and the value that this drama advocates is like so backward, and it's like Qin Dynasty, it's like the whole sort of like, you know, getting to conservative and even over the top, like having those class sort of like extremely backward thinking of a 2020s person is unbelievable, like that type of thing. Now, like you are taking down our hard work for like 40-50 minutes per episode, like tens of episodes in one go, because you're saying we're saying bad things about your actress and somehow she cannot be commented and criticized. People got pissed. So they immediately all come together and decided to put out more content that's just specifically picking her apart. It's saying her acting, what's wrong in every scene. What's wrong with her makeup? What's wrong with her styling? What's wrong with the fact that she changed the lines that's not originally the way it is? And clearly go dig out evidence in the special feature videos where they're directing a scene, and then you can see that Zhou Xun actually comes in and changes what's being spoken, and then adding certain things or changing her character's lines, and then all the interviews she's done now being dug up years later, where she actually said she changed the character, changed what's written on script by herself because she thinks it's not right for her character to do this, and that it all becomes evidence and proof that she tampered with the original thing and she has no idea what she's doing and she's uneducated, and she is using this drama to satisfy her own ego as the big female lead who can control anything, even the director and every other actor, and she's just having fun. It's her playground. And that's why the drama failed. Like, so everybody starts to go crazy at this and they put more and more content out on the internet and becomes uncontrollable. You can't just, the sheer amount of videos on Bilibili that's like now going episode by episode, scene by scene, picking out everything that's wrong with this drama, from the characters that's used wrong, typos, wrong pronunciation, to the coherence of logic that doesn't work, the fact that it doesn't actually work in Qin Dynasty history, to the value that it puts out and how hypocritical the female lead character really is, and how ridiculous the logic between this thing and that thing. Everybody goes crazy and they all go to different directions. Like everyone pick a particular direction they want to go down and they just charge at it full force. So from after Chinese Spring Festival this year to about end of April is the highest point, and after May and June it starts to slightly quiet down, but it hasn't really gone away. And the amount of people who like managed to analyze the shit of this drama and see all the incoherent, problematic thing about this drama and why it is worth this amount of analyze and criticism. Some very high quality content has been produced, I'd say, on this topic. I've watched a lot of them, like, wow, these people went deep. Like, they went really deep, digging. It's like, don't anger the internet type of thing. Like, if you do, you have no idea what kind of can of worms you're opening up, and it's like Pandora's box completely released. And some of those content and content creators are actually really, really good. Like, it's not that they have like, when you go and watch and why you and the way they analyze these things, they're very reasonable. Like, they actually go deep into why this does not work, that does not work, and this is wrong, and epic. Like Ru now on Bilibili is its own thing. And Ru-ology is epic. And I've never seen this happening to any drama. Never has anyone has seen it. And I don't think whether Zhou Xun, her personally, or her team, or the drama maker platform, nobody has ever seen this coming. Because this drama actually got pulled down, right? With 延禧攻略 as those harem dramas back in 2018 or something. And officially it's not on any platform, but because it's so well known that everybody can get hold of it, and you never know, like something that's this old can get resurrected in this way. It can only happen with today's internet, with today's platform, with today's possibility of streaming content so easily, creating it on your own so easily, and then the unstoppable force that gets basically the power that now everybody has in their hand because we have platforms like this and internet, and it's just epic. And I don't think Zhou Xun has ever anticipated this. Even if it's her or her team or somebody who initially put out those notices trying to take down and control public opinion on her or on her drama, they definitely didn't see this coming. Nobody could have seen it. It never happened before. And it's just this wave of revenge, right? People are like, okay, now you want to play with us? Let's see how we can do it. And we happen to have, like in China, right, a huge amount of people online. Hundreds of millions of young people who are not doing their, like, who has no jobs, who are just too bored at home. They have no jobs. And they're like, we're at the end of university and we literally have no job. So let's just have fun for 5 months and make shit ton of videos. So that's what happened on the internet. Wow, it's epic. But actually, I would argue if you go in to watch some very high quality content maker on this topic and the analyze they've done, some of them are really well made. And there are even talks about, like, there's one person who made a video that I think is so well made, which is like, why? They look at this whole thing and they say why Zhou Xun as actress has gone through all those stages of her acting in her career, early, middle, now. Like, why did it happen the way it is? And what kind of image she, like what kind of embodiment she basically is to directors, to creators, and why she has this position in acting world so specifically of this quality. And then why she would fail in a way in Ru-ology, not at the time when it first aired, but so many years after. Now in 2020, suddenly it's like everybody just see it and they have problems, so they start to, like, why did it go? So there's one person who made a video going through her career, going through the host of how first is director pick her for what reason, and then how she view herself, I guess, like in all the roles she's done, and then what the collective conscious of the whole nation sort of reflect and project on her, and what she represents, and why she has this position in acting world as she has today, and then why did it fail and start to not work anymore in 2020s. And that's like really interesting. It provides you with very interesting perspective and things, and like you just never really realize it's there, but then when you see it, it's like, oh, okay, that's never thought about that, but it kind of like really makes sense. So there are a lot of this type of video that came out that I was so impressed with. It's really interesting to see this happen because I've never seen it before. You cannot anticipate and predict that, and also almost impossible for me to actually make a video talking about it because the sheer amount of stuff and how complicated this whole thing has become. It's like if you sit down and trying to like talk to the end of it, it's gonna be 2 hours, and you can't even like scratch the surface of how much has happened on this thing, and it would be relatively completely just enclosed in China domestically because it's completely in Chinese. It's almost impossible to translate the sheer amount of content in English or other language for other people to get it, and most people wouldn't really care, right? Because you have to first know who Zhou Xun is, what kind of actress she is, and she mostly still only means anything to people who are in sort of Asia entertainment circle or knows about her stuff. You also have to know Ru-ology, the drama, which most people globally would not be interested in. You also have to know the history of like what has happened of the whole thing. And then you have to be fluent in Chinese enough to actually see how much content creator made content is out there and what level of analysis people have managed to go deep into, which is not easy. Like some people go so deep that it's like academic psychology profiling, like study of like PowerPoint paper presentation. It's crazy. And it all started because people have too much time on their hand and then you piss them off. It's epic. Like some of those are so well made. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't see it. But now, because it's like, it's always there. You're just like never really clear about it. But somebody cleanly pull a thread through it and then use the way to very easily conceptualize it. And you immediately, you're like, oh my god, yes. I never saw it that way. But then once this, it actually all fits. It's like a perfect post-rationalized theory, but nonetheless actually really works. It's interesting. So it's like so weird, like it happened this way. Nobody anticipated it, but the whole and a new age of 反封建 is happening. Anti-feudalism, like and a lot of other dramas gets literally like tangled into this because people start to look at our other references, and then like I said, the whole conservative wave of movement of values that kind of comes up in the recent 10 years or so. That's so much more obvious than before. And then it bleeds into other dramas like Story of Minglan, other domestic female lead dramas where after its pretty good initial success, years later people start to look back on it and see problems with it, right? The type of what is problematic with it basically. And it's really interesting to see all those analysis. It's pretty good. But it's very hard for me to get to details in a live stream, because I didn't notice this until quite late. And initially I thought, oh, it's just because Zhou Xun's team took down those videos. Those people are vengeful, basically. And then they're just attacking her, not liking her, which I'm very familiar with, like on the internet. But then I went into watching those people's stuff, and then like the point they're trying to make, and then the basically list and scene by scene analysis about like what's wrong with this, right? If you look at it this way, though, and you actually look at what they make, and it actually, a lot of those stuff make a lot of sense. And I feel in a way, okay, it's a bit unfair in terms of Ang Zhou Xun as a person, in sense that the thing worked out the way it is in terms of like Ru-ology, where she indeed had a lot of input, and maybe because of her over involvement in the actual script, that it actually created what we ended up today with, where people can have so many things that they can have problems with this drama, right? I would say she definitely has a play in it in terms of her involvement. And had she allowed the story to be completely like free of her influence, as she just acted, plays the role, but she doesn't actively try to change very crucial settings of the characters, it may have worked out better, at least as a story. Now, in terms of even worked out as a story, whether that story is fitting 2020s people's values and stuff, that's a different story, probably not. But because of her heavy involvement, and plus the overall tone and the type of between the lines basically of this drama, like the values and what it's trying to emphasize on, and the logic of plot, and in between these things, what it's trying to basically, what it's trying to get at, that thing is so, right, Qing dynasty 200 years ago, that it angers current and contemporary people, particularly women, and it's very understandable that happens. And she becomes basically the easiest target to get picked, and then because of her active involvement in it, it's also just like kind of obvious, like you have a say in it. Now, I feel what is bad, very sad about it, is I always liked her acting. I feel she's like the naturally talented actress, the type of like meant to do it, and she can do it so well that she's this material that is so receptive of energy and emotion, and she delivers it with such a proficiency. It's natural talent, truly. But I think after watching that video talking about her whole career and how they analyze it and how she gets positioned in this industry and how people view her, and I really do get it. I feel in a way it's quite sad that because what she naturally is like, right? She also gets very well taken advantage of by the industry and by the people, like the directors, the male directors or the female directors or whatever. Like people know that they can do, like they can use her in a way to maximize everybody's benefit in the whole game. And along the way, maybe she gets to the position in an industry where, again, she is surrounded by people who will no longer let her touch ground. She's completely like put into this tower that's detached, and she's been up there for so long, and you need to be so lucky and so actively seeking out, trying to break through that echo chamber, and then having the ability to learn new things and having the sensitivity to connect to what is going on right now. And for people who are so successful in this industry in China, right, you almost like your feet are completely detached from the ground. You're completely pulled up, like you have no idea what is going on in the real world now for the rest of the 1.4 billion people. You completely lose contact. And you've been living in that dream world for too long, and you're allowed to do it because you provide such good value for people who can benefit from that. And people project certain images, ideals of the type of female that she represents or the type of energy she represents. So she's a real person. You know, she eats and sleeps and do things, but people tend to view her as that fairy-like energy of such a like sensitive instrument, that pretty sensitive instrument, and that image that she needs to. I think in that video it said so well, which is she doesn't even have to try, and she is so good already. That energy of a fairy, you know, perfect and so delicate and so sensitive and so beautiful, and without effort. And it's not true. As a real person, as an actor, actually there's a lot of effort in what you do, whatever. Like just think about 16 hours of working hours every day, like grueling. It always has a lot of effort. But she becomes this the collective consciousness projection of that fairy. So as long as she stays as that light energy fairy, she's perfect. But as soon as she tries too hard, she actually no longer looks effortless. When she's no longer effortless and when she's trying too hard in any way, that image immediately gets broken. And then people realize, oh, you're just like us, you're just a person. And you're so desperate and you're trying too hard. And immediately the filter shatters and then it gets destroyed. And this is what happens in 2020s with 2024 with the Ru-ology's resurrection. And I was like, oh my god, I never saw that way. But actually, it's really accurate analysis. It starts with a lot of try too hard. For example, she's in her 40s and she tries to play a 16-year-old, something like that, and where you totally see it doesn't work because of the injections of her lips and her fillers and moves, like her skin cannot move as like, you know, and then her styling looks so not good compared to other actresses, and all the effort where she tries too hard, right? The whole jokes on her fingers and all those fake nails and why she keeps doing it that way, like it gets basically in any way like she tries too hard. She actually tried too hard, and that is against her the agreed sort of projection value of who she is, and it breaks that filter, and immediately people start to have problems because she's a real person. And that's one of the reasons why this wave of criticism on her comes in so intensely and in this very concentrated way, regardless of whether she actually is in any way at fault. Like, I mean, actors, they fail, all the time. Sometimes this works, sometimes that doesn't work. This movie works, that doesn't work. Everybody has successful and shitty projects. Remember recently I saw Colin Farrell's interview, and he's like, but there's Alexander. It's like everybody, successful actors, they would have their Alexander in their portfolio. So I see why. I guess it's because this combination effect of her filters getting shattered, and it happens to come in with this weird incident of that Sims content creator who had problems with Ru-ology fans, and they started a war that just went out of control, gradually just snowballed into what we have. We have that happening now. Just coincidentally, and because of that whole Zhou Qun's filter shattering, it becomes even more, I guess, strong. Is people, like, her previous image and her trying too hard becomes such a big contrast that it just, everything, like, it's like perfect timing of things, and this perfect storm, and just boom on China's Bilibili. So if you know Chinese, right, and you're pretty fluent, you can check out, like, just search Ru Yizhuan or Ru Xue on Bilibili, and you'll be faced with thousands of videos that are insanely well made and go into epic depth with extremely clever wording and sometimes surprisingly deep analysis of human conditions. Facing you, like, oh my god, seriously? You can just dig that much out of Ru Yizhuan? So, I know, like, a lot of people have no idea what I'm talking about, but if you look back on this live stream, you'll know. And I tried to time code it, and I'm basically just like, no, it's not so simple. Like, they didn't act like they wanted. It's not. Like, I initially thought it's just people hating her. Like, it's normal when you are a public figure, you get hated somehow, right? And then I went into, like, looking at what content got put out, and then what are the sort of argument of most of the people, like, the biggest thing they have problems with. And I most of the time I cannot blame these people. I don't think, like, they actually anticipated this is gonna go this far, but once people started, it can't stop. And then definitely, like, Zhou Qun's team didn't expect it. It's not just didn't act well. It's not that. It's hard to go into details, but a lot of those arguments are actually all quite valid, I'd say. And then, I think it also just coincidentally goes into this whole wave of, right now, economy is not so good, and a lot of, let's say, normal people, right, they don't have that many ways of climbing up the social ladders as before. And they therefore have more problems with people who hold resources and are in position of power, but then can have fun with it and manipulate it however they want. So people are more sensitive to the fact that the already privileged are trying to stamp out, right, the underprivileged people's opinions. And that rebellious sort of, like, nature of people comes out, and this is one of the results you get to see. Also, I think because of the quite questionable, let's just say, a lot of the values this drama actually has, if you go deeply into analyzing its, for example, the whole Di Shu, the whole official wife and the concubine, and their children, and the value system, and all those made up things that actually doesn't work really in history the way that the drama makes it work, and the failed logic, the female competition, a lot of things you can go deep into, and that's to do with the original author and the adaptation script writing more than the actors themselves. But then how, and that is also problematic with the current younger people's, I'd say, values about you know, like you're in 2020s and you're more Fengjian than the Qing dynasty people. Fengjian is the word we use in China, feudalism, but it's actually not accurate. That's the problem, because we don't have actually a very accurate word to mean exactly the same in English and Chinese. But anyway, the type of, let's say, imperialism ruling and all that value system of class and how people's values depends on their birth and then all those things. It's just like so many elements are sitting wrong with the current people who have the heaviest usage of internet, who are very savvy with editing and all the internet, like how to play with this thing. It just happens to be these younger people have time, have resources, get pissed off, and everything just like a perfect storm. Like it all just ends up in this one thing, and boom, Ru-ology gets targeted because it's the perfect one to provide that much content, right? Because it's 80 episodes, something like super long. It has so many things wrong with it. Like you can just keep digging out of it. And then obviously initiated by that taking down wave of videos that piss people off. And that whole pissing off thing is very understandable. I've had so many things getting taken down by all kinds of people and all kinds of places. I understand that perfectly, because those videos take a shit amount of work and load to do. And when you see your work getting, you know, just like, I mean, it's very expected that people are gonna get pissed and they're gonna want, you know, revenge. So it all worked out in this way. Quite epic. I can only say this much on live stream. And you have to be Chinese fluent to understand exactly what's going on. And there's so many fun content on Bilibili on this whole thing that opened my eyes about, I guess, first the power of internet, power of the sheer amount of content creation that can get self-generated by people, but also like a lot of younger generation of people these days who have such a good analytical mind, very sharp observation, and they are like, I'm impressed about a lot of people now, given most of those are girls, like 95%. Like I only heard like 1 or 2 guys talking about this. Mostly are women, right? The younger women, so who have problems with this and that and that and that. It's not sitting correctly with them. And this new wave of younger people who are just like so sensitive and so articulate too at their opinions. And I'm like really impressed by that. So I guess these things keep me younger. Like trying to I'm just trying to not become the hateful middle-aged person that I once hated, right? I'm trying not to get to that point, and I try to do my best to, like, even when I get old, like no matter how old I am, I can still be very updated with what the heck is going on in this world, and don't want to be left behind and become an archaic thing in the museum. So these things keep me young and keep me like oh wow. You know, it impresses me. And I never thought a drama is gonna start something like this. And also like 7-year-old drama. Come on. Seriously. Think about it. It's like almost the same year as 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms, and seeing what has happened to this genre, like fantasy idol, and also like the lead actors. It's incredible what can happen. When people say it's a historic drama, it's supposed to be Fengjian, okay? That gets really argued about by those videos, and very well argued. And it's I always like I personally I also understand like what you're talking about, but then it can be completely argued that actually those arguments are brilliant. But again, I don't have time to go into deep. But it's not an excuse. It really is not an excuse. And all works is the work of its own time. For literature, film, television. When you talk about ancient time, right, you can be historically accurate, but it does not mean that you have to be therefore talking about the same set of values that those people have. It's your interpretation of that time. It needs to come, like, it's always a reflection of what you as a person are thinking, and also what the time you're living in, what is it. And the best way of thinking is thinking about what you consider to be ancient people writing about even more ancient people. Say Shakespeare writing about ancient Greek people. Is his work about the Greek values, or is his work actually about 17th century England values, right? So you never can actually jump out of the time that you're living in actually and talking about history. Even if you are doing it, you are still actually doing it as a contemporary person. And that really complicated sort of like thing you can go into about, like there are a lot of videos made actually talking about this whole feudal, right, thing. And I'll tell you, a lot of those so-called feudal value and rules that you see in dramas like Ru-ology are completely made up by the writer that did not exist at all in the way that you think in history, for real. And it's a reflection of this writer's very, in a way, quite twisted value about basically deciding like your birth and the type of like class society and what is good and what is bad and what is considered to be the proper way of being a woman, right? And a lot of videos talking about Ru-ology are going at this topic, and they go deep analysis into every episode, and they're very well done. Really, really. It's just sad that it's impossible to translate these content into another language and to be fully sort of like easily understandable. But I am very impressed by the whole wave of things. And again, it's like, it's not like I've never thought about these things, but it's like I can't be bothered to put them down in words and write like thousands. They write like tens of thousands of Chinese characters for one video that reads out in 40 full minutes non-stop. Essays talking about deeply each point and what's wrong with it, right? And I'm like, oh my god, that's so much homework. I'm just like going back into my nightmare of like writing essays for a course. Like, there's no way I'm gonna put that much work into talking about a dead drama, because literally it's not online in China. It's like taken down, right? But then I get so impressed by these people. And mostly they're girls, and they're pretty young. Like, you can tell from their voices, and they're not like old ladies. And I'm like, oh, wow. Impressive. And yeah, so it's sad that this content probably cannot be shared to people who are not Chinese fluent in the world. And it's almost impossible to do it otherwise. If you happen to be able to understand part of Chinese, like, I highly recommend you just search these things out on Bilibili. Eye-opening. I've never seen it before, and I'm just like every day, like when I see these type of things, I'm like, wow, this went so much beyond the drama's value. Like the best part of a drama is like the things that can happen after it, like this 7 years later, who knows, 7 years later, and you see this, I'm like, incredible. And it could only happen in Age of Aquarius. This can only happen thanks to internet, right? What we have today. Otherwise, you don't even have the foundation for any of this type of quick communication and snowballing effect of things getting boom, just like epic. So the greatest Dramaland related thing that actually has happened in Chinese Dramaland from April to now is the development and the crazy content creation from content creators on a 7-year-old drama. It just shows you, once you put it out on internet, it's never gonna go away. It's gonna come back at you. No matter it's 7 years or 70 years, if it's a boomerang, it's gonna come back. Scary time we live in. Scary time we live in. Sometimes you're just like, maybe the best way to is to dig a deep hole and just bury yourself in it and live the rest of your life there. Oh yeah, the hair thing, right? I mean, the Qing dynasty hair is pretty bad, but you have to say the Japanese Jianghu Edo time, is also very bad. Right? These two hairstyles are equally bad, I'd say. It's just like one is on top and then it curves back. One is on the back, right? It's like it's essentially it's the same thing. It's just a tiny bit of a hair, right? That gets like kept and everything else gets shaven off. But it's just like sitting on different part of your head, and you just have to be so good looking and you have to have such a perfectly shaped scalp. Like a head to actually make that hair work not so embarrassingly bad for you. Yeah, we're already 12:19. Holy. Okay, we're doing it till 12:30 and I'm gonna I'll have to go, but let's just talk about something lighthearted because I didn't expect I would go this deep into it, but I'm just letting you know it exists, and if you're curious you can search it out on China's internet. Also, like recently I found so many YouTubers are going to China to travel and they upload so many vlogs. It's just epic. The amount of shit amount of travel vlog in China. I think due to the 144-hour visa. So I think if you enter China from a couple of cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Chongqing or something, and you get a 44 temporary visa, which as long as you have the outbound flight, say bought within the landing time of 144, so 7 days. If you have a ticket within the 7 days where you're flying out of China to another country, then once you land in China, you just get that visa. And then it limits you to a certain number of cities. So you can't go everywhere, but it's so big a country, you're not gonna be anyway. And then you can just travel around. So many people are coming to China without basically having to go through the embassy mess. They just land in China and they say, they have a ticket or going out within 7 days. And then they get this visa that they can travel boom, 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 boom within like this circle of cities. And they go film vlogs and it went crazy. So many videos. I'm like, oh my God. So now everybody knows Chongqing. I'm a bit, cannot keep it as a secret anymore. My hometown is no longer a secret. Everybody knows it looks like the spa house in the Japanese anime, and then it's insane. It's like 22 floors drop from street level to street level. Just look, you're on a cliff, jump down. 7 days, you can't go anywhere. Trust me, China is too big. Even if it allows you to go anywhere, you cannot. Right? There's so many cities. Like even if you try to land once in each province, it's not gonna happen. 7 days. You're not gonna be able to go through the whole country. And then they limit you. Like you can't go anywhere. For example, certain more like complicated places, you'll need more stuff to, and also like just the ease of travel, right? Not every place is that easy to get to. You basically have to travel on like the easiest way is like if you get a flight or you get a high speed rail, which is pretty well developed in China, but still it doesn't get you anywhere and everywhere. If you go to a smaller place, you have to like stop here and then pick a smaller train and pick a bus. And if you're not savvy and you're not language, like you didn't plan, you can't do it. It's so hard, right? You have to basically pre-plan and then go. And then it still is easier to then go into embassy first, get a visa, and then travel to China. You can just land and then do it. So many people do it, and like so many people, like they just all pick, like for example, for sure, Beijing, Shanghai, that's understandable. You're gonna pick that. Some people go to Xinjiang because they're curious, and then they go there and they're like, Xinjiang has the best food, okay? If you ever travel there, like they have the best fruit, they have the best meat, like lamb. And you're gonna get so fat if you go to Xinjiang, I'm just telling you. And it's like in huge portion. Insanity of high sugar, high carb, but also high meat content. It's like bomb food. And then they go to like Shanghai and Beijing, and then they go to Chongqing. And Chongqing is mostly just because of the elevation and the hot pot, right? It's spicy food plus, really? It's like, can you build things like that? And you go and you see, oh yes, you can. Hong Kong is not fresh because most people can always go to Hong Kong anyway, right? Previously, like if a Canada national, no, you can just land in Hong Kong always. But within the mainland, right, it's harder to go. Yeah, China cities are insane. Everyone is. Like the bigger ones, they're like the scale is. It's very hard to explain to people who's never been there what it's like. Also, like just like certain like even natural landscapes is pretty crazy. I mean, people when they think about rivers, right? It's like if you've seen very certain rivers you grow up with, you're like just rivers, and then you go to China and you see Huanghe, Yellow River, and Changjiang, Yangtze River, you're like, that's a river. It's not like it's wide and open like Amazon, but it's like elevation drop coming up, boom, 30 meters, boom. And then from the dry season, where it's almost like you can see the bed of rocks, to flood season, 30 meters rise, get ready, 100 feet, more than that, and you're like, what am I looking at? It's... And then obviously Yellow River has this insane thing about its sand content and how big the elevation drop can be within a very short distance. So yeah, the scale of things is a bit weird in China, I'd say. Mountains and rivers tend to be really... Like you can see like in America, for example, like on the west side, right? You also have a lot of mountains. But American mountains are in many ways sublime, elegant, but not so threatening looking, right? But you go to China, it's like, huh? You know, like you go, I'm not going up there. No way, no way, no way. I'm not going to climb up there. Even if you have the best thing, like there was like looking for death, right? It's just like, just looking at it. I'm not going there. No, no. There's like if you ever go to Huashan, which is not even that tall, like Huashan, right? The Wuyue, one of the 5 mountains in China, mid kingdom that tends to be like called epic mountains. You cannot compare that to Everest in terms of like how big those peaks actually are, like compared to sea level. But then if you actually physically travel into that place and you look at a mountain, it's like a vertical, sharp edges, and people have like ladders and then like tiny walkways designed on it, and you're holding a chain all the time to walk around it, and if you just miss one step you're dead and nobody can save you. And so many tourists are still climbing it, and you're like, I'm not going there unless I'm South Korean person. You know the joke right now about like if you really treat your parents kindly, you should pay them the ticket to travel to China, Zhangjiajie. I know it's going on in South Korea. It's so funny because Korean people really like climbing mountains for some reason. It's like hikers. Like the whole Korean nation is like, they are crazy about hiking. And there are just not that many big mountains within their sort of like the country. And so for some weird reason, Zhangjiajie got famous in South Korea because of its mountain. It has that really weird shape. That's like the Avatar mountains that Avatar actually is based on. Like in the movie, they go to Zhangjiajie to take pictures of them, and they recreate those mountains. And those mountains are pretty weird looking and unusual, and will be a quite unusual climb when you try to do it. I know that it has like become like really popular. It's like a lot of hikers in Korea is like, we really want to go to Zhangjiajie just to see those mountains. Like, that's, you never see the angle coming, right? Like why people are interested in certain things. You never, it's like certain, like, I grew up in Chongqing, so for me, like the river and the mountain is just like, what's so special? Like every day I go down hundreds of flights of stairs, and I go up and I go down again, and that's my whole life, all my life. So I never thought it's a problem until I see other cities, and I'm like, okay, You've seen my video going to my high school. Like every day I did that for like 6 years, something like that. So to me it's like just normal, but to other people it's like, what? Like how can you even do that? I'm like, And then people realize I can't ride a bike. I still cannot do it. My viewers, right? You know my secret. Even till today, I still don't know how to ride a bicycle. Never tried. It's gonna shock so many people, but I really cannot do it. Okay, it's almost 12:30. Thank you for staying with me for this live stream. Chinese food. Chinese food, you have to, it depends on which part, right? Different regions have very different taste. Beijingers don't like spicy, so they almost never use any spicy food stuff. Unless, like, say, like a local Beijinger. But Chongqing is everything is spicy. Jiangxi, everything is spicy. And even more spicy than Chongqing. So, depending on where you come from. And thanks to South America, we have to thank you. South America people, because it's a native plant of not China. Didn't get imported until late Ming Dynasty. So everything that happens before late Ming Dynasty has no chili pepper in it. If you see it, it's wrong. China at that time only had black pepper. That's the only one. And it's super expensive. It's like gold values. You can't really have a lot of it. And then chili pepper, the red chili pepper, didn't happen until 17th century, pretty much. So, put that in perspective. Weird, isn't it? And then it got big everywhere in China. Yeah, I heard that melon too, Chen Xiao divorce. I think it happened actually. I'm pretty sure it already happened. It just, they didn't tell people. I've heard that too. Yeah. Oh, who cares? Marriage in the entertainment business? You know, like already half of the marriage in this world are gonna end up in divorce anyway, statistically. And then in entertainment business, let's just add another 50%. So we're gonna get like 75% of people are gonna divorce anyway. Oh, like in Chongqing, it's not about people, right? It's about geography. You can't, most of the time, it does not make sense for you to ride a bike. You don't have a flat ground. Everything is up and down. So why? Like how do you even ride it? I don't care. Like, I mean, divorce, like, it's not like he divorces, he doesn't divorces. Like, what does it have anything to do with me? Unless, like, he's on a project that I'm a producer and it's gonna affect the money I'm gonna get, then I'm gonna worry. Otherwise, like, I don't give a shit. Marry or not marry anyone is your business, not mine. Whether it's guys or girls trying to play like way down their actual age is weird. I mean, let's be honest, right? It just, unless you somehow have this weird genetics that you really do look like a lot younger than you are, right? Like you can pass basically. Type of thing, for example, if you are in police force and you're gonna go undercover, you're gonna play a role that's not you, and you're like 35 or 40 years old, but you're playing a 22. And your supervisor comes in and picking people and saying, you go and play the 22-year-old. And everybody in the room is like, yes, you can do it because you look like 22. Then you can do it. Like, it's easy. Everybody has eyeballs. You know, you can tell a person looks like 22 or 32 or 52. If you can pass, and even when you're 52, you look like 22, good, you can do it. But if you don't look like 22, then don't try. It's just, can't fake it. We haven't gotten to the genetic sort of medicine to the point where you can literally just fake your age so physically. It doesn't work. Oh, 12:33. Okay, I just have this thing. Let's just make it a whole number. Wait for a couple of minutes. just literally sitting. I just don't want to look at the number and end it there. It just doesn't look pretty. Numerology. Oh, there's this huge, cute news in China right now about a young girl who got the math competition high score that is shockingly high for her education level, that started this whole round of internet witch hunt, which is stupid, and everybody kind of see it coming. But I was thinking about talking about it last week in weekly video. I forgot. Basically a real life event of goodwill hunting, if you've seen that movie. I think most people have seen the movie, right, with Matt Damon. The goodwill hunting female version literally playing out in real life in China on a girl. That's what happened. RRR, I know it. I actually downloaded it and watched parts of it. I can't remember where I quit it, but I do remember because somebody recommended to me RRR. I know. I watched parts of it. I can't remember. I think it's still on my hard drive. I don't know what happened. I stopped it, but it's recommended by a friend who also is like, go and watch that movie. It's weird, but entertaining. And I agree. That movie is like on something. It's on something. Yeah, like RR, I know that one. I actually know that one. It's so weird. I have to say, like, even just watching a little bit of it, I'm like, oh, what? What is this movie? You have to say, like, the person who made it really has a weird way of looking at the world, let's just say. You, flesh-eating virus, really? I do know, like, if you get contact with certain seafood, you can get infected with a particular type of bacteria that can really mess you up. Is that same thing? There's a particular type of bacteria that lives in the ocean on fish, and if you get scratched and you happen to get infected, it's very ugly. 周野, yeah, that 周野thing. You know that situation first is she said, you said, and you cannot never verify it, whether she sees it or not. The second is actually once it happened, there's no way of get out of it. Basically, when she has the cold face to the reporter, and then the next day, right? The next day they're still at the event, and then she comes and smile at the CCTV reporter, and they film that again. So the thing with the next day is once the first day happened, no matter what she does the second day, it's wrong. Because if she still keeps her cold face and doesn't talk to the reporter, people are just saying, oh, now you confirmed you don't care about that. You're just like such a show off and you think yourself so highly of, yourself. If she comes up to the person and then be kind, then everybody would say, oh, you're kissing up his ass because yesterday you got like found out about the whole nation and now you're just trying to make up. You're just such a hypocritical actor. You see, like with that, there's no way out. For her, like the first time when she sees that and didn't like in any way acknowledge the person and still kept that face, it's already done. Like no matter what she does the next day, like whatever way she does it, you can interpret it in the way that just like still makes it look bad for her. So I guess the lesson from it is if you are in a public sort of event, the moment you walk out of your dress room, put on an acting face. Just be nice to everybody. Just hide away through it. Just like, you don't have to even emotionally actually engage. Just pretend and it's gonna be fine. And I mean, think about just being a Japanese person in public space. Just think about you're a Japanese person in public space and you're safe. Because that's what Japanese people do every day. You have to like maintain a... Like it doesn't matter what you're thinking right now. Just keep this on. It's fine. Just do it. I mean, like the lesson that she can learn from it basically is just the moment you walk out of your restroom and you know somebody may be having a camera on you, just be nice. They're good. Those people don't care about what is the truth, right? Even if they found out, it's like, what's that gonna do? And then again, they can interpret it however they want. So just act. You're an actress after all. How hard could it be? Just act. I'm just saying. The best thing she can learn from it is just like put on an actress face. And it's good. And yeah, if they drop, it's still understandable. They don't eat, yes. So like think about hangry, right? If you've ever been hangry, just don't ever expect, people who are always on a diet to be happy. They can't be. They physically, like their hormones disallow them to be happy. And the thing is, if you're private, like you can do whatever you like, but then you're actually, in an event, you're backstage, right? So just like put on a bit show, it's not that hard, but it's just like it's gonna blow over. It's not a big thing. Like she can do it every day, once, and it's still not gonna really do much, It's not like she did drug or she got caught doing something like speeding down the road and hitting other people. It's not like that. So whatever, who cares? It's like the Luo Yunxi thing recently where he almost entered the wrong car, right? And then the car owner is like, it's my car. And then he replied in a very, let's say, inappropriate. Like he could just laugh it off and walk off, but he said something and then immediately the internet is like, oh my God, like rich actors who think so high of themselves. But these things happens every day, right? It's like, who cares? Tomorrow, everybody's gonna forget about it. But then also, like, I'm just like neutral on these things. I don't care because you never know the exact details. Like, you can't. Like, I mean, what kind of judgment can I throw out at this, right? It's like, yeah, she could be hangry. She could be just not noticing it. She could notice but didn't care. So even if she noticed and she didn't care, like, is it a huge fault? Like. Today I'm pissed. I just don't want to answer to anybody. So what? It's like, is that a huge thing, right? What's hugely wrong about it? I mean, it depends on how you want to, think about it. To me, it's like she's an actress if she can do acting well. Like if she's in the role and she totally messes it up, that's like, it's like a pilot not flying your plane. That's problematic. And then in terms of like after you fly the plane, whether you're like smiling after you're like going to a restaurant and smiling at a waitress, is like who cares? Yeah, to me it's always like, yeah, I mean, Zhou Ye also, let's be honest, she's not very good an actress. Pretty, but acting wise. But also so-called celebrity, giving them a break. But the whole thing is, in China, let's be honest, those people are so entitled too. They're over entitled. They get overpaid. Their work really, when you think about the amount of money Chinese actors get paid compared to, say, South Korea or other places, it's ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. They get overpaid, they get overvalued, they don't even put that much hard work into it. Often people are like, we work 10 times harder in our real life job. We're just driving a bus or doing whatever, and we're overworked, we don't get that much money. We definitely are just like, and then you get all those like extra benefit for being famous, and you still are so pissed, and you're so treating the other working our normal job people like with a nose up so high, like people get pissed, right? It's pretty understandable. And a lot of people, I think they got famous too young, so they don't actually understand the value and how lucky they are and what easy way out they got compared to so many absolutely like just a punishing level of hard work people have to do to survive. These people got lucky, either because of the connections they have or just like they're pretty or whatever. And they started it so young, and they're as teenagers, and they never really lived, right, the normals of commuters, day in day out, 9 to 9 jobs. They don't understand those people's life, so they have no comparison, they have no reference point, and their entitled sort of thing angers a lot of people who, it's it's quite natural that people have this problem. Okay, we should re-end this in 1 minute 45. It's way too long. Thank you for spending so much time. I don't know about India. Like, I have no idea whether they're overpaid, but China is definitely overpaying. Like, particularly on the top. So if you're tier 1, you get so overpaid, and then if you're like the bottom, things are not so easy either. Okay, so thank you for coming to this June live stream of 2024 Chinese Dramaland happening weeks. I really appreciate your presence and your input on this. Take care. See you next week. I still haven't decided what I'm gonna talk about Chinese Dramaland. June is so boring. Oh my god, I can't imagine it. I started to watch a lot of like other old movies and stuff because I can't deal with the amount of boringness we have in Chinese Dramaland right now. Let's hope July is gonna be better. Let's hope summer at least is gonna have one interesting one. Fingers crossed. Please take care.